What's up, everybody? What is going on? What's good? What is good? Hey, those are my notes, man. Put your headphones on. Go over there. We got Cooper Ray in the house. Terry Barentsen. This is the TB show. We are running a little bit behind here, so we do apologize. But hey, we thank you guys for joining us on this fine New Year's Eve. I thought it would be a really appropriate thing to cap off the year with one of the guys who, helped the channel grow so much in so many ways. You guys seem to love this man's riding style, and I think we'd all agree that he's a talented rider, and it's fun to watch. So without further ado, we got Cooper Ray. Cue applause. Hey.
Hello world. Hello YouTube world and the internet. And I'm on the TB show. My name is Cooper, and thanks for having me and all the continued interest in my riding and all that stuff. It's pretty cool, and I think we can all say we're pretty grateful for Terry's filming ability on the bike and all of what he does. I know I'm really appreciative of Terry and what he does, and it's cool to be on his little live show. And we have a video stream. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It's not radio.
It's it's like a video podcast kind of thing.
It's like contemporary radio.
I'm sure some of
millennial radio.
Yeah, it is.
Basically.
I don't know if you guys do this at home, but I watch. Well, I'm not watching, but I do this video podcast online. There's a lot of these like more long form videos. And a lot of times I don't even watch it. I just put my phone down and I let it play through. So it's kind of like a podcast. And then if you want to look, you can just like pull up your phone or like have it playing on your desktop or whatever. I don't know. Let us know in the comments how you guys watch this. Are you watching? Are you watching and listening? Because I know.
And are we able to see the comments, Terry?
Yes, we are.
Wow.
I can see them. They're over here. We got people chiming in.
So if I come over here.
You could, but it's more for me. We need your attention at the audience because we're going to be asking you some questions. He's a very inquisitive kind of guy. In fact, we're going to get into how Cooper is going to be shooting video hopefully in 2020. I'm sure you guys would like to see some of that.
That's going to be very exciting. I have a good coach.
He's not. I'm not going to edit your videos.
Full disclosure.
So yeah, why don't we just kick this off with an easy introduction? Pretend like no one else has ever seen you. Don't act so fucking cool that everyone's seen your video. I think it has there's two of them that has over like 1 million views now.
Which is crazy. I'm not the kind of person to really ride off ego for that kind of stuff, but that's just very humbling. That's insane.
The first bike video I've ever seen where it's not someone crashing or eating shit on a bike and going on WorldStar. This guy, that video went on WorldStar, and both Cooper and myself, no one got credit. They just stole it and put it on WorldStar, and it like blew up on WorldStar right when we posted it.
It's
I don't know if you guys knew that.
It's unbelievable that went on WorldStar Hip Hop.
And
I mean, first off, a bike video.
Yeah,
and just like a simple bike video. I mean, it's why am I on WorldStar Hip Hop? That's what I want to know. That's crazy.
The comments were great. They were like, "This lady, this girl.
How does he ride those? How does she ride this bike with Tim's?"
Yeah, all this New York talk. It was pretty good. So yeah, speaking of that, Cooper, why don't you let's talk about. I'm new to New York, and this is a topic I often talk about with people because I'm a newer person here in New York, so I didn't know old New York. Why don't you talk about just being the youngster in New York growing up and how that was and just a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Yeah, so I'm from New York, New York City, New York. I grew up in Manhattan mostly. I grew up with divorced parents and lots of one-year leases, meaning I've been here majority of my life. I went to middle school here, high school, preschool, blah, blah, blah. My parents were separated, and I always had two places in Manhattan. So I needed to get between both places. I started skateboarding when I was a kid. I mean, like young, like 10, 11, whatever. And then when I was 14, I got my first job, which was coincidentally at a bike shop that has some bike racing heritage to it.
You want to drop that name or no?
Not really. They
Okay.
kind of suck. But some of you might be able to figure it out. It was people like Nelson Vales and George Hincapie had both raced for this shop in the past. And
Who are those guys?
I didn't know who those guys were at all when I was this age, but looking back now, I mean, Nelson Vales, likely the most important black figure in American cycling, for sure. And George Hincapie racing in the Tour. Anyway, that doesn't matter. I started working at a bike shop, and there was an old school messenger there from Minneapolis named Chad, and he kind of piqued my interest on riding a track bike. And I said, "What's a track bike?" "Well, it has no brakes." And I just, totally blew my mind. This is in 2007. I'm 27 now. I was 14 then. And I was just mind blown that you could ride a bike with no brakes in general. Like it didn't add up for me. And I'll never forget. I got this track bike. The first night I had it, I had its front brake on it. My mom was seeing someone across town, and I rode the Transverse in Central Park and went across town with this brake and was absolutely a little plug. Get your Hotline mugs. I was absolutely terrified. Here, I'll keep this here for you, Terry. Absolutely terrified and very cautious, understandably so. Which any of you should be if you ride a track bike and you haven't ridden a track bike. Be cautious, ride carefully, wear a helmet, don't take unnecessary risks. It's really fucking dangerous. Like, you see what I do and I ride around, looks like I'm doing some crazy shit. That's like with my eyes closed, like super casual. Like, you want to feel super comfortable with what you're doing at all times. Very important that I like to stress to people. Anyway, I made it across town, shaking, freaking out, like, wow, this is crazy. I realized I'm never going to learn how to ride this bike if I keep this brake on. And the next morning in the bike shop, I took the brake off. So it was maybe like 12 hours that brake was on my bike ever. I never looked back. And what a bike allowed me to do, track bike or not, it allowed me freedom. Most people when they're younger, they'll get their learner's permit, they'll get a car, and they'll start to be able to get away from home. In the city, it's very different. You have freedom at a very young age. And growing up in New York is incredible. You have ultimate freedom at a very young age, but you're restricted to the subways or public transportation or walking. And the bike was just an ultimate hack. I mean, you just could go anywhere, everywhere, any time of day, faster than anybody. When I started riding in 2007, there were no bike lanes. Traffic was almost all Crown Victorias, like for those of you that might not be from the US, that's a really big, heavy sedan with like an 8-cylinder engine in it. It's like a sled, basically.
It's like cops and taxis.
Yeah, only cop cars and taxis. And they were predictable. They drove fast. They were good drivers. But, and you really had to assert your space in the street. It's a very, very different riding environment now. I don't really have to get into detail about that, but I feel very fortunate to have ridden at a time in New York that was reminiscent of how New York has been for many, many decades. Just people, there's something that's called a wave, where you catch a sequence of green lights in a row, and all of New York was timed perfectly. Traffic would go fast, it would flow, and you'd be able to get from 59th Street to Canal Street on a single light. Like, it was incredible. Anyway, so I learned how to ride at like a golden time still in New York, and it changed pretty quickly after that. I mean, the first bike lane went in 2007 or 2008 on 9th Avenue, and now you fast forward to today, and nearly every intersection has like pieces built off of the sidewalk with either little pylons or planters or just some space sectioned off for pedestrians, because most people are walking down the street, and now we have these things, and everyone's just looking at their phone, not paying attention, walking into traffic. If I had $1 for every time someone has walked out in front of me on their fucking cell phone.
It's a privilege and a curse.
Also, no smartphones when I started riding. I also very shortly got into street racing and alley cat racing when I was younger. Coincidentally, I saw back to Chad at the bike shop. When I was much younger, so my dad's a photographer, and he had a number of shared photo studios, and I spent time growing up in these photo studios in Flatiron, in Manhattan, and this is the days when there were still tons of labs everywhere to develop your film, and photographers. There was still print work, so there was a lot of working photographers still.
Yeah.
And there were like 10, 15, photographers in this shared space on 27th Street, right next to FIT. And one of the guys, I forget his role in the film, but he had worked on the documentary. Excuse me. He had worked on the documentary called Red Light Go. And Red Light Go, it came out, I believe, in 2000. It was the first thing I'd ever seen, anything even remotely close to this. I mean, I was young. I had no idea what this shit was. Mm-hmm. But I went to the premiere of this Red Light Go when I was, I must have been like 8 years old, 9 years old. I went to the premiere of Red Light Go, and I remember it not because it was like a sick film. I mean, it was a documentary about the Halloween alley cat race in New York, which is still one of the longest running alley cats in the world. And I remember it really well because I got horrible food poisoning that night. But things kind of clicked when I met Chad, and I started riding around a little bit in the city, and I started seeing these guys that I had seen in this documentary, Red Light Go. Mm-hmm. Mike D, Victor, Squid, Fast Eddie. It kind of blew my mind. And I was like, wait, Chad, have you seen these guys around? He's like, oh yeah, they're my homies. I know these guys. It's just, 15, 14-year-old me was just like, mind blown. It was so cool. So I jumped into the alley cat racing scene. And in 2000, Halloween 2007 was my first alley cat. And that was, and then it's history. I just kind of, I got into it. Yeah. I mean, I always rode for myself. It was never, this was pre-social media. Mm-hmm. There was no hype around track bikes or fixed gears, whatever you want to call them. None of that. It was only like messengers or word of mouth, or there was a forum, and there still is. And that's how I found out about races, or just asking people in the street, or someone would come up and hand you a flyer if you're riding a track bike around. Like, it was still very underground. But really the riding was just for me. It was such a beautiful balance to hectic city life. It was like a hack. You could operate in this negative space within the city and just being totally in your own environment. And you're like invincible.
Yeah.
Should I touch on anything else? Should we move on?
No, that was great. Sounds like I missed a lot happening in New York.
I mean, there's probably some great stuff happening in San Francisco at that time before heavy tech influence, no?
Yeah, all the cities are changing. We're getting older. I guess that's all it is. Things change. I'm not fighting the change. It's all good. Those are pretty legendary and incredible times. So you talked about mostly track bikes, and here we are, something that I try to preach. Maybe it's like really lightly. Maybe I'm gonna need to say this more directly to people, because I see some comments in here about single speeds being boring and track bikes and fixed gears only. That a lot of people, just like Cooper and myself, who I film, we all ride more than just a track bike, more than a fixed gear.
Those people who are only like track bike life only.
Yeah, like let's talk about bikes. How the track bike, how obviously we all owe a lot to it. For me, it was like it got me back into riding bikes again from a really long. I was skateboarding, and then track bikes got me into riding bike. I was using like a BMX bike to commute, but I wasn't really riding at all. But then the track bike was the gateway back into
It's all sort of this like glue
riding
that
again.
got a bunch of people together. I think it's the
Exactly.
community aspect of the track bike.
But now we all ride all kinds of bikes. So, and I
Well,
have
people
love.
come
I
from
have
all
love,
different-
love for wheels in general. I
love
don't
wheels.
even like
The wheels are the most important part of a bike. Wheels and tires. People underestimate that
skateboards.
shit.
I don't care. You ride a scooter. If you
No, but
can
listen.
do
Let me be
it, you
really
can do
clear.
it.
It's always been parallel. You know, track
Yeah.
bikes was this love and this connection, and like it's more of like a mental connection, and it's like mind over matter. You have to believe that you can get through something. You have to
Yeah.
see something happening before it happens. It's like this. It ebbs you. It keeps you on point. If I don't ride a track bike for too long, like I slip.
Yeah.
I ride recklessly. Like I don't even know how many scars from like riding other bikes and crashing. And, like reminders like, oh yeah, right.
That bike right there.
You know, well, this one's not that fast, but it could take me places.
Yeah.
No, but from the very beginning, I mean, I raced road as a junior. You know, I was riding road bikes. I was always into riding road bikes when I was younger. Now it's transitioned to dirt and like finding every trail or little road or just getting somewhere. Bikes in general are an exploration tool. You know, in a city, track bikes. Out of a city, fuck a track bike, man. I don't want to ride a track bike. You know, I've done that occasionally. You know, like I think after riding down like mountains in Mexico City through favelas on a track bike, I've gotten my fix. I don't need to do that again. Thanks, Safa.
Shout out to Safa.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys have seen Safa on Terry's YouTube now.
And Safa's YouTube. Check out Safa's.
Oh yeah, Safa's YouTube.
He's
Yeah,
got
my
the road
man's
bike thing
he's
going.
living the dream in Los Angeles right now. Safa, I'm gonna see you next week, bro.
Boom. Collab.
Yeah, actually, I was talking to Safa about filming some stuff in the Santa Monica's.
Sick.
I know Safa's filming a lot of people doing some gnarly descents on road bikes going very fast, but we're gonna do some stuff on dirt, so that's gonna be fun. But back to what I was saying before, the bike is like the ultimate exploration tool, right? It's not all about track bikes. Like for me, like I always wanted to get out of the city, but I don't drive. I still don't drive.
Yeah.
I don't have a driver's license. So the bike was the jam, and I would just go and as a teenager go ride with people from all walks of life. You know, up to 100 miles out of the city, and it just blew my mind that all this was right there at my fingertips. And you know, so many people never get to that. But the bike was always, it doesn't matter what kind of bike it is, as long as it works for your intended purpose and it gets you there. I always try to stress that. It's not about the machine. It has to work for what you're trying to get it to do.
Yeah. I always notice that about, especially coming from San Francisco, moving to New York, that I feel like New York has such a, it has such a, like a gravity to it, because there's so much happening in the city that people have a really hard time leaving the city itself, because there's a gravity here. Because coming from San Francisco,
it's hard to explain, really, unless you're here.
Coming from San Francisco, like you would ride over a bridge and you'd be, out of the city proper of San Francisco. You'd be even like riding to the South Bay. It would be out of the city. In New York, it's just people have a hard time leaving. But you're right. You have a bike, and once you learn like that, you can easily, 45 minutes to an hour, you're over the bridge. I mean, you're on your bike riding there, but.
And then you got to get through like 30 miles or more of suburbs.
What I mean,
it's still a fucking hike to get out of here.
If you go over the George Washington, it's like you're pretty much like we were just talking about 9W trails. Like you can just be.
Yeah, they're good for about 10 years, and then you get really over them, and then you need to go farther. But that's
that's
specific.
Something else. I'm just talking about.
I'm actually gonna be doing
gravity.
something about. I'm gonna write a story and put something together, come this spring, of like just how hard it is to get out on a ride from New York, and really how to do it. Take a train and get out. That's gonna be cool. So keep an eye for that.
Oh yeah, Giovanni's in here. He's saying that Stay Alive hoodie is hot. I forgot to say, shout out to Cordell and Stay Alive Studios.
Cordell.
He's the one who made this hoodie that I'm wearing.
Turn around. Look at that Bibendum man too.
The Bendum.
Yeah. You in frame. There you go.
Shouts out to you, Cordell. Thank you for hand delivering.
Stay Alive Studio. You already know. Also, shout out to Affinity and Jason.
Oh shit!
Actually, this is old. Jason doesn't even have one of these.
Shout out to
his
that
ex-wife printed this.
Shout out to that car alarm going off. Welcome to Brooklyn. You're right, Harry. Also
Man,
taking them. Also,
comments,
well, we're gonna get to the questions in a little bit.
Terry tells me I can't look at these, but fuck your car.
Metro North is a really good option.
Two Banana Man.
I'm the 2 Banana Man. You gotta turn that ringer off, man. So yeah, we were talking about what bikes you like to ride now. That fucking alarm. Are you?
It's like echoing.
Can you guys please fix your car? I'm really sorry. I told them that we were going to be recording audio, and I had this whole block locked down for this live stream for you guys, but I don't know. We're going to have to call somebody. While this thing's going off,
let me touch on the gravity of New York again real quick, because that's something that people really underestimate. Someone put it to me one time, and it really stuck to me. There's almost like a pressure to wake up here. Like, even if you have a day off, or you think you can relax, if you're within the city, like there's always something that is like pulling you to do something, or to work, or to get something done. I feel like people live all sorts of different lives here because you have to.
Yeah.
And also because people have like a drive and motive. But even if you want to relax, man, even if your house, like most people don't have like a nice home situation here, they're really struggling and have crazy roommates. It's always fucking something, which is why bikes is such a wonderful way to get out of that reality that is New York. But man, a pressure to wake up. You're anywhere else and it's just kind of slow and relaxed. But you're here, and if you're in the energy of New York, man, it's really tough to get out of here.
It's true, man. There's so much, like I said, there's just so much going on, I think.
And that equation constantly changes. You think maybe you're good for like 6 months, and you're like, yeah, I figured this out. This is sick.
Yeah.
And then it's like something else fucking hits you down. It's really, really difficult.
Yeah.
I've been here my whole life, and it's still not easy. And you're still constantly changing those tools of like how to make it livable, how to make it sustainable. Is it sustainable? I don't think so.
Is it?
I don't know.
Well, that's what I feel like leaving the city. I need that contrast, and luckily, for what I do for work, I get to leave occasionally to travel and like leave the city, because I will
occasionally
say New York is
globetrotter,
one of the best cities to leave, and it's also the best city to come back to.
It's
and
true,
I've lived in other
true.
Lots of other places, and like it feels good to leave. You're like, fucking finally. And then you go to wherever you're going, you're like, I need to get back to New York. And then you land, or you like drive back and you're like, back to New York.
It doesn't have to be long either. I mean, you're so on point with that. And anybody will agree with you. Like, you got to switch it up here. You have to balance life here. But man, there's nothing like coming back to New York. I mean, I'm biased because it's home for me. It'll always be a part of my life. Like, I'm very much so a New Yorker. But like,
I'm not. And I'm saying, I'm agreeing with you.
Well, yeah, I know. Well, I'm agreeing with you.
I got 6 more years,
New York,
and then I can say I'm a New Yorker. I'm keeping a track of that. I have a calendar, crossing days off.
Yeah, there's nothing like coming back to New York. Just you feed off that energy. Like the same way that it feeds into you and empowers you, it also wears you down.
Yeah.
But a track bike is always the hack to that.
And then leaving the city, trying to get you to talk about other bikes here. Let's segue into like how those other bikes are forms of transportation and keys out of the city, and going to first like riding outside of New York City, and then riding like going to events, doing like, I wanted to bring up like, because I've done Farmer's Daughter with you twice now.
Yeah
Like Farmer's Daughter, like doing things that aren't even, I'm not really into racing my bike, other than like I like to go and participate occasionally in street races and film and race occasionally in those, but I don't like the like I don't like cross races. I've done a little bit of them in San Francisco. I just don't like that stuff, but I do like Farmer's Daughter.
Well, you can just split it pretty easily with like grassroots racing and sanctioned racing.
I don't like sanctioned racing. I think that's what it is.
Sanctioned racing is pretty lame. I think I renewed my I used to do a lot of cross racing, and it definitely wore on me quite a bit. And it was great. It was a lot of fun, a lot of great times. And I renewed my license recently to race the local cross race now in New York, and I think it'd been 3 years since I'd done a sanctioned race. But there's like a plethora of gravel races and off-road events now. I mean, there has been, like, in the West Coast, there's always been grassroots riding and racing, which is just like the mecca for it. Like the grasshopper races. I think
that's why I'm so
amazing.
drawn to it, because that's just what I.
Well, it's just what anyone who's been riding for a while, they want that vibe. You want like chill people. You want a great course. You don't want to have to pay a ton of money, and if you do, it's going to support like a good cause, like a local trail association.
And I don't mind paying if it's like. If you're just paying to do a ride with your friends and some other people, if it's supported and there's like 4 food things and then there's like I don't care, I'll pay for that, because by the time I'm done riding that like 60, 100 miles, like I'm gonna be eating a lot of food anyway. So it's like they're gonna give you a beer at the end. Okay,
don't forget about the beer.
1 beer.
I never understand that. Why do cyclists love beer?
I don't know. Do you guys all like beer?
I'm not a huge drinker. You know, I like the other stuff.
Like heavy alcohol?
Yeah, no, not the liquor.
Speaking of liquor, just want to inject this into the talk here so I can put myself on blast and stick to it. Someone told me something about, I've never heard this before, dry January. Maybe I just haven't paid attention. I'm not drinking.
I've never heard of it.
I'm not drinking all of January, so throwing that out there for you guys. Who wants to take me up on that? Anybody?
Me.
No beer, no wine. No. I love drinking beer and wine. So I'm gonna do that. I challenge you guys to give it a try. But I think Cooper is talking about the herbal essence, the shampoo.
What, head and
all right, sorry.
Ha ha ha.
Yeah, but I just wanted to start talking more about those unsanctioned races and you know, like you just did Silk Road race, and that is like going and traveling with your bike is a crazy thing. Like
that's like a whole nother offshoot of like
that's like a crazy heavy gnarly endurance race, but then also
that's like ultra endurance, self-support.
Yeah.
It's very different. Like gravel race is like the night, like just in general, like I feel like a good gravel race, gravel ride, whatever you want to label it, a good event is going to some place you're unfamiliar with. This is why I love racing in general. I don't love racing to compete. I love racing because what you can do with a quality race, what you can do with a quality race is it links you up with the local community. Yep. It puts you on someone else's local route that they've dialed in to the nth degree generally.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of people to go do the ride with. It's such a great way to explore someplace new. It's not about being competitive and winning and being the best or being the fastest. That's where road racing misses the ball, you know? And the type of people who do that, they gravitate towards that. The coolest thing about seeing all these new gravel races pop up is that it's my favorite thing to do anyways. Go somewhere new and just ride off into, like, look, I love maps personally. I don't do route.
I was about to say, if you guys know Cooper, he's going to pull out a map. He's going to have his, like, I always call it like Magellan's, but that's totally not the right app he has. But he has like this GPS thing on his phone, and he's like looking up the routes, and he's like, "We gotta go this way." Because
I just love looking at maps and figuring out
my
the
Wahoo
way.
says to just take a left, man. He's like, "Yeah, but we gotta know." Like, all right.
It's so true, man. I love just going and getting lost, like looking at a map and seeing like, oh, this is a trail, looking at topography on a map, or like personally here in New York, I visually navigate. So like I'm standing downtown and I'm looking up Broadway and I see the Chrysler building at the top of Broadway, or I'm looking down Broadway and it's the Woolworth building, or like I use skyscraper towers to know my direction, and landmarks, right? In any foreign city too, you can use landmarks that you can see, whether they be mountains or buildings or whatever. If I'm in a new place, you can see a mountain, and there's nothing like being somewhere on your bike and just pedaling and getting to that place that you see way off in the distance, and you're up on a mountain peak and you look out, wow, and you see like back right where you came from, and you can go from mountain to mountain to mountain, and just visually navigating, be like, I want to go there. The map is the key to figure out how to, and that's cool. But what's really cool with all sorts of different races is that you can go somewhere without having to know or want that itch to go explore, and you can just have this experience.
I
maps.
fully agree.
And now I even got a Wahoo. I got a computer for the first time in almost 10 years.
Aren't you like a clouded up Wahoo rider or something? You have to
I don't know what
that?
I don't know what my title is from Wahoo, but I am like an ambassador of sorts for Wahoo.
Huh. So
they gave me this computer, which is awesome. Do you endorse it? And I do endorse Wahoo.
Great. It's
my
good
Wahoo
to hear
computer
from you, Matt
is
boy.
Excellent.
Because I like the Wahoo too, but I'm not an ambassador.
Well,
so
you know what's cool is that you can
endorse.
go. I mean, I'm sure all of your listeners listening to this know this, but maybe not, because you can go on a site like Ride with GPS or Strava, download a GPS file. You can look through a whole world of maps. If you like looking at maps, you can look through and you can find someone's route. And you don't even have to look at a map. You plug it into your fucking computer. Yeah. I mean, I know I'm like late to the game on this, like late pass, but that's pretty cool.
You don't even have to plug it into your computer. You do it all from your phone.
Well, you know what I mean. And plug in the GPX.
Well, that's what changed it for me. Is like I saw people messing with Garmin's with computers, and I was like, bring your laptop with you on a ride? No.
No,
Like
they really do make it easy. You just do it through
your phone, and it's like, and then it connects with the Ride with GPS and Strava.
I gotta say, the turn-by-turn navigation on the Wahoo is great. Excellent.
Yeah.
A little plug to Wahoo. Thank you, Matt. Actually, thank you, Nico. Nico gave me the the Wahoo hookup. While we're talking about brand affiliation, I can just say a huge thank you to Pedal Ed Japan. I was a brand ambassador for them for 2019. They have excellent cycling clothing, and they allowed me to. It is actually. I'm waiting till after the holiday craze to get some new gear, but they allowed me an experience to go and travel, 6,000 miles across the world and ride my bike in Central Asia this year with zero experience. And I attempted a ultra endurance bikepacking race, and it fucking put me on my ass, like. Humbled me to the nth degree, and was by far the hardest thing I've ever attempted or done in my life.
What was
so all
the
of you
name
who
of that
think
race?
like, let me just tell everybody that, like, I'm sure if you're on social media and looking at bike related content, you'll see some sort of bike with all the bags and they're off somewhere and it looks like all well and good. They don't include how, like, incredibly strenuous dealing with the elements is on a daily basis.
I bet.
And self-supported.
Those of you who are in here, there's a lot of you here today. It's good.
How many we got? Holy
like
shit, that's a lot of people.
There's some trolls in here too. I appreciate that. I appreciate. We love the trolls. We're gonna do some Q&A. If you guys just hold up, we got a couple more talking points that we want to get over, and then we're gonna do some Q&A. So if you guys could hold the questions for now, and then just write it down, keep it in your head, and then we'll announce some a time for Q&A. We're probably gonna let this thing run for as long as we have the endurance and the capabilities to keep you guys entertained. So keep those questions, and we're gonna go. Let's move on to you're moving on. You're leaving to LA soon. You're going to the LA Tourist race, right?
Yeah, I usually go to LA a couple times a year, just because I don't know if anyone has ever been in New York in January and February, March. It's not necessarily conducive to bike riding. It's pretty gross weather. I mean, personally speaking, the last 2 days I was riding in like 40-degree rain. It's not so fun. I still work on my bike. It's been a long time. Honestly, I'm pretty over it.
Yeah.
If anyone has any job opportunity, hit me up. But I've been a messenger for a long time. But alongside being a messenger, I'm always trying to ride my bike as well. I say all the time, I haven't been riding my bike. When the weather's cold, I still ride my bike almost every fucking day because that's how I get around. It's my main form of transportation and my job. And then on top of that, you're supposed to go ride, 8 hours and go do some nice ride and enjoy it. But, maybe it's 35 degrees and there's 3 inches of slush on the trails that you want to ride. So I always go to, one of my favorite places to go to ride is Los Angeles. It's kind of a sleeper. People think LA, Carland, it's super polluted, blah, blah, blah. Just adjacent to LA are 2 sets of incredible mountains, or 3 really. You have the Santa Monica Mountains, the San Gabriels, and the San Bernardinos. I mean, you have mountain peaks that are over 10,000 feet. I mean, Baldy is almost 11,000. You can ride from sea level easily up to 4,000 or 5,000 feet. I mean, it could be 60, 70 degrees in the winter down below at sea level, and then you go up the mountain and there's snow.
Yeah.
There's a race happening. It happened last year. There were 3 of them. I was in town for one of them. I was hoping to do it. I actually ended up going with you for a friend of ours, Serena. Our little birthday celebration mountain bike jammer in Santa Cruz.
Serena.
Shout outs to Serena.
Rad Rio, I think she's in Mexico again and again. I think she's there right now. Anyways, sorry.
So the LA Tourist Race is happening. There's 3 races. The first one is on January 11th. The second one is February sometime, and the third one is April 4th. You can check them out at LA Tourist Race on Instagram. I should actually... let me just get the actual @ because you guys should 100% check out what this ride is all about. I always try to get my friends to come with me to LA to ride. Nobody wants to come with. I try to tell people it's like, it'll kick your ass. It'll humble you. It's awesome. Wait, here we go. It's on Instagram. It's at la.tourist.race. LA Tourist Race. Yeah, January 11th, February 22nd, and April 4th.
I'm going to drop a link for
Mike,
you guys.
Mike at Golden Saddle Cyclery has...
There's a link in the comments.
Has taken
check
the...
it out.
Oh, cool, you linked it. Nice. So the guys always hinted at it at the shop, like, oh, we're going to do a race, like a self-supported race. But it's just self-guided. It's self-routed too, so there's no like GPX route of the ride.
Damn.
You literally just get checkpoints dropped in the mountains. Like, okay, here, there's this, at the saddle of these 2 mountains, and this mountain peak, and this other one over here.
Wow.
And you have to figure out how to route yourself to get to these places and get to the finish. So of that spirit of like, it doesn't have to be a traditional race, but it's about having a great experience on the bike. Any of the guys at Golden Saddle will know me because I always come in and just ask them about every single trail on the map. And like, it's funny, Kyle gets kind of annoyed, I imagine, because I'm like, oh, have you done this one? What's this one like? Man, I don't know. Why are you even looking at these? We don't ride those.
Yeah, these are the trails.
It's fun to like dig through maps and find out places to ride. Anyway, this race, it's definitely a race, is in the spirit of the types of rides that I love doing. I'm so excited to go to this race, and it's the first thing on my 2020 calendar, which I'm beginning to put together. And it's hard. If you guys have any awesome, one-day rides, one-day races, multi-day races, bike packing races, any of that kind of stuff, please drop it in the comments here on YouTube. I would love to know about them, and we can help share and spread the news about those too, because it really is a beautiful, like, global community of cyclists. That's why I love riding so much. I mean, never would have happened without track bikes, but it's so much bigger than just track bikes, and it's a really cool community to leverage. Like, some of my homies were just in Greece on a bike tour.
Yeah.
Your homies too, obviously.
Yeah.
The homies, you could call them.
Brian,
and these
Amir.
guys, and Phil, these guys were in Greece. They're like, oh, wait, you know Cooper? Oh, my God. Oh, well, and they treated them like family, It's like, it's such a cool thing to just have this little bit of clout to then be able to leverage that to have an accessible community in other places in the world. And I want to do more of that moving forward. I mean, that's like what I live for, like going and ride it. Like if someone comes here, I want to take them on my craziest cool route that's taken me like 10 years to figure out, like even just this summer, I finally linked together, or this fall, I finally linked together all of these different trails I've been looking at on the map for years and never put together just because it's such a fucking long, hard day. But I finally did. I want to go do those rides in someone else's city, not just in their city necessarily, but like in their mountains, like that's cool. Anyway, LA Tourist Race, it's happening January 11th, the first one. There's a few of them. That'll be really fun.
You got a lot of experience doing that. Traveling with the bike is, we've said it here before, it's the best way to travel and see a new place, the city or outside of it, just like you're saying. Events or no events.
Yeah,
That's
I think
the best
I've
way to do it.
traveled more times with my bike than without.
That's
Not
great.
think, I definitely know. Like 80% or more of the time, I have my bike with me.
Now that a
traveling.
lot of the airlines are waiving that the baggage fee for bikes, it's great.
We'll see. I booked my first Delta flight since I got charged
Is
$300 to get out of Puerto Rico. Yeah, it is. Delta's on the list.
It's free now. It's free
Oh,
now.
it's like a regular check baggage fee.
Oh, cool.
Anyway, we'll see. I'm going to Mexico City in March,
Woo.
and flying Delta. Well, Aeromexico via Delta. So we'll see if that's actually real, if they charge me or not. Anyway,
let's
moving on.
let's transition into some things that it's bike related but not. So you spoke a little bit earlier about being in photo studios when you were a kid. Why don't we talk about your photography? Because not that Cooper's a sleeper photographer, but if you guys know him, he's often has a camera around his neck. He shoots a lot of film, photos, and just let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I'd always, like you said, I grew up in photo studios. I'd always been around photography. I never had any interest in taking photographs.
Yeah.
Like, none. Just really wasn't of interest to me. Until it really clicked. Just kind of odd series of events. I started in high school. I worked at a real estate brokerage taking photographs of like internal listings. So I'd go to like, here's like some 16, 17-year-old fucking shithead going to like some $10,000 a month apartment or like a $10 million apartment.
Yeah.
And like, doorman gives the 16-year-old the keys, and I would take terrible photos with some little digital SLR I had. And basically got cut personal checks from the CEO of this brokerage.
Whoa.
Which is a pretty big name brokerage. And taught myself how to use Photoshop. So I came in from the digital side of things and had no interest in doing that, really. And it fell off, but, I kind of showed myself the ropes at a young age. And then when I started working as a messenger, I had started dabbling around. Before that, I started dabbling around with a film camera. Because I couldn't afford the digital camera I wanted, so I bought a used Nikon SLR from Adorama and just started taking photos. And it was so cool to have a limited amount of photographs, and I just became so much more intentional about what I wanted to shoot and why I was shooting it. But more so, when I would get the photos back, it became like this. First of all, it like connects something back in my head to where I can remember every moment of that day if I see a single photo from a roll of film, right? Which is incredible for me because I've kind of spotty memory. But I started working as a messenger, right? And I was always like looking for something to shoot. You can tell if you look at some like amateurs' photographs, you can tell they're kind of trying to take photos of things. Like it's just evident in the photograph. Whereas like if you look at like a photograph, like you look at a really great photograph and it speaks to you. It tells, the old saying, it doesn't matter. Man, I started working as a messenger and I just started seeing all of this stuff within New York. All the different elevators I'd be in, all the different views from different offices. And then I'd always been interested in buildings and architecture. Just from being in spaces, like the photo studio always felt very solid. It's because those floors were meant to carry they're meant to hold like enormous printing presses, and this felt really solid. Or you go in another building and you feel like you sneeze and you're gonna break a wall. Like it's just built so cheap and garbage. And like what makes you feel a certain way about those things? But working as a messenger, I'd start to see these internal workings of the city on a commercial level and just see you always see and feel the ebbs and flows of the city, but to really be an internal part of it, it really clicked with my photography. And there's fervorous development in New York of buildings and new development. And that's juxtaposed with the old city. It just got me thinking, and I started shooting photos of New York City, of the city itself, and buildings and architecture, but also street photographs and other messengers, as well as photographs from my bike. Like I have my camera slung around my neck while I'm riding the majority of the time, and I'll shoot between taxis, between buses, or shooting up at a building from moving traffic. Like I feel like I'd never seen that before. But I've always tried to like touch on getting a photograph of New York to look like an old photograph of New York, but it's actually contemporary, and it's really, really, really hard to get at that. Anyway, I've been shooting 35 for many years now, and it's always been very challenging for me to edit my work because it's so broad, and I'm a perfectionist and never want to show anything, and I really just got to get over that. I've been working on a new website. It's mostly there. It's not quite there, but it has like a best of some of my black and white work and color work of New York. And I'm actually going to start for 2020. I'm going to start to shoot large format.
Oh yeah,
which is really exciting.
You're just talking about being slowed down.
Oh yeah,
the process of film going from digital. Wait till you. I mean, I don't have a lot of experience with large format. Wait till you get on that.
I'm excited because I think that a lot of my photography lends itself to shooting large format in terms of like perspective control.
Yeah.
And also just super high definition of something that's static and not moving. You know, I'm pretty slow and I'm taking a photo from a specific place anyway.
Yeah.
Or I'll like only take it if it's like very specific weather and light, or I can know if I like look up at a building and I can know exactly where I want to take that photograph from and how I have to get there and what time of day, what time of the year, because the light changes just because I have such a connection to knowing New York like that. I know every inch of Manhattan.
Yeah.
So 4x5 and large format in general is going to be very exciting for me. I've been getting a list together of all these different places I want to photograph, and I think it's going to be a really nice complement to my photographs of New York. Yeah.
We'd love to see this website. Is it ready yet? Where we can see the work? Because I think people are even asking right now.
Oh, man. You know, I was hoping to get it ready for this interview, but it's not quite there yet. If you want to, the URL is myname.nyc, but that's not going to work. It's like hidden on another URL, so you can't really look at it. But if you want to, you can look through some of the stuff. It's from a website called Photofolio.
You want me to drop it?
Yeah, you can go ahead and link it.
All right, we're going to drop the
Just,
link.
It's a work in progress. You know, there's only a couple galleries.
Go. I knew that
there's
you would
one,
say it.
Yeah. It's not quite. I made sure it at least works before I came here, but like there's going to be some more stuff in there. Like I hope to have, we have it here. We can't show it on the video stream, right?
No.
It's not working.
No, I haven't updated the software on this.
Terry wears many hats, including being a digital tech for his own live streaming TV show.
If anyone knows a tech director or producer to help me run these live streams.
Let me just say real quick, if people are hot on the page, the main two things that are actually done on this site are two albums. One is called Noir, which I'm just going to change to black and white. But New York Color and New York Black and White. Those are two albums. Look through them. They're pretty cool. That's like a collection that I think of are really powerful photographs of mine, kind of like best ofs of both my black and white work and my color work.
Yeah.
There's a fun gallery of some portraits as well, but I'm not really a portrait photographer. What I hope to do as well is have, if you want, can you click on this real quick?
Which one? Bicycles?
Yeah, bicycles. What I hope to do is have like a home of under bikes. It'll have all my riding videos, a calendar of events, and then machines. Like I can actually feature all of my old bikes. I'll photograph all my bikes. And then I also have a blog. The blog is working. It's blog.cooperray.nyc, and then the regular website will just be cooperray.nyc when it's working.
If you guys click on bicycles, we were talking about the World Star video, how it went to World Star. He has it linked there. It's pretty funny. I haven't seen this in a long time. I can't believe you found the link.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, so this is kind of like I really wanted to have this ready for the new decade and to have a fresh start, but it's basically there. It's just like fine tuning it and adding a couple more photo galleries of my work. If you click on projects, there's all the titles for the stuff that'll be on there with different galleries of work. One is Courier. I have a large body of work of bike messengers in New York that's still ongoing, but I made a self-published book that I handmade a limited amount of copies of. I'll have all the photos in there. Cielos Infernales is from Mexico City.
Yeah, do you have anything for sale in there?
I do have a print web store. It's prints.cooperray.nyc. It's not linked on here. I told you the website isn't done.
Jesus, man.
I know. That's why I wasn't on your show a month ago. But it's okay.
What's up, Rob Ward?
Oh,
we see you.
Shit. What up, Bob?
Bobby.
Rob Ward. Not such a sleeper anymore. You guys know how fast Rob Ward is in San Francisco. Yeah, so that's cool. There's some photographs up there. It'll be more than photographs as well.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to kind of segue into a little bit before we open up to questions.
Yeah, I just wanted to make it really clear that bicycles are like a huge part of my life. It's not just like the photographs. It's all interconnected. All the things that I do are things that are like that I've been doing for many years and very embedded into who I am as a person, my personal development, how I stay sane, all of these things. Yeah.
So, 2020, Cooper mentioned to me that he wants to, well, he's been talking about trying to jump into video for probably close to 2 years. And I, he's asked my opinion and what he should do. And I just try to relate it, always try to relate it to you to the file storage situation is always something that takes a lot of getting used to, going from stills to video, because I made that transition myself years back, and it's a major push.
You need a lot more space.
You need way more. You need to be super organized with your files, and you have to have backups, and because when you lose video, like you lose one file, and you make an edit, your whole edit is ruined.
Well,
so.
Lucky for me, I have a pretty good digital solution for how I archive and back up everything. I think from the
That's
tech
good.
side of things,
Yeah.
it's probably going to be the easier thing for me.
That's
just
great.
learning how to edit and have some sort of workflow and just mental of like, well, I'm going to shoot this video and then what do I want to do with it?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think just having some sort of frequency of putting up videos, whether it be just simple riding videos.
That's what I was prepping some of the guys who and ladies who watched. I did I guess it was just vlogging I was just talking while I went and rode my bike to go drop off those tires. And I was mentioning like, yo, maybe Cooper will do some like POV videos like this one that I was doing, and like where he's, just showing you his POV while he's riding around New York. I bet you I feel like they would gravitate to that,
Yeah, I mean, I think
And
it's something that's
it's
really
simple.
It's pretty simple. Like
process.
I always think my biggest detriment is I think big. I think like these big grandiose ideas, and they never really come to fruition. I think keeping it simple and allowing things to be a little more personal,
Yeah.
a little more interactive, and just kind of just a view more into just like what I do on the daily would be really interesting. I mean, you guys are there's 100 some odd of you tuned in now. I mean, what would you want to see of my videos? Would you want to see me like? I think Terry mentioned that I get like a chesty for a GoPro and just riding around. I just got a new iPhone to up my video res, and so my social media stuff looks.
He's got 3 lenses.
Nice.
He's
I
got
do.
3.
I have it right here. Look at.
He's got
this
3
fucking
lenses.
alien shit. Look at that. Crazy. No, just so I can kind of keep up. I feel like I need to like stay on the bandwagon of how people are digesting media. It's not
Yeah.
it's not all just
You
like
on TikTok, bro?
take a picture. I do have a TikTok.
Are you on TikTok?
It's mostly for
I'm
my
just
plants. No, I actually do have a TikTok.
Oh, damn.
Not that I use
I
it.
can't get with TikTok because I don't like the editing part on the phone. The whole editing on the phone thing is like, I'm not into it.
I do have I hope to post videos to YouTube.
Yeah.
And use YouTube. I do have a YouTube account. It's just my personal that I've used for years and years. But you want to just drop that link in
I'm gonna
there
drop it
while
so
we're here,
people-
so you can, if you want, if just for the future, I will be posting. There's not a single video on there. I've had it for a while, but I'm gonna when I do videos, they're gonna live
God.
on YouTube first.
It's going to be all my...
You can't even find it.
Yeah, it's going to be...
Here, I'll pull it up.
Yeah, you guys should, he might not have any videos on his YouTube right now, but, once he gets moving, I've been trying to push him a little bit. Boom.
Nope.
That's not it?
I don't even know. Maybe we should have done this beforehand.
It's all right.
I'll find
I
the
agree
link.
with you,
I'll drop the link in a second.
ASAP Brock. I'm not down with TikTok. Anyways, I'm excited, you know, to see some videos from Cooper, because there have been times, like I said, he, you know, if you know Cooper, he'll ask you, if he doesn't understand something, he'll just keep asking you shit. And then I think part of him understanding is kind of like, I do the same thing. It's like, he'll try to tell you what it is. And you're like, no, that's not what it is. And he's like, oh, because it's like this. And like, I think that's a way of understanding. So well, we were talking about color balance or something one time. And I was just like, Cooper, just shut up. This is how it is. And this is why I gotta go. This is it right here.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, you're already running, dude, at 185 subscribers.
That's nothing, man.
All right, let me see.
All right. Yeah, can you get the? Oh yeah, just that one.
Mm-hmm.
Not with the feed though.
Cooper Ray visual. Damn, he's a visual guy. All right, we're gonna drop the link to Cooper's YouTube channel. That's gonna be populating here real soon. Videos.
Videos, none.
This channel has no videos.
This channel has no videos.
At least you guys can see what he's doing.
You know, just to plug that for future reference, I will be posting all the videos or portions of the videos to YouTube. To Instagram as well, because that is my main platform. But time to change it up. All right, moving on. You don't have to focus on that for too much.
That's kind of it. For what I had for like general questions. So I wanted to open it up to everyone who's been sitting there patiently waiting. So go ahead and drop some comments. Drop some questions in the live stream comment box.
Oh yeah, shout out to SK though.
Shout out SK.
What up? Yeah, I will be in Cali next week, SK. You want to come? Not the Bay Area though, in LA. Oh yeah, can I look at comments on here if I
You can.
If I live stream my own live stream? That'd be fucking weird.
I just linked Cooper's Instagram too. If you guys aren't following him, you should. I could have pulled it up. I had this iPad from a while back. Oh, it's dead. Never mind.
Uh-oh, I'm getting an ad.
Oh man.
Oh no.
Yo, I'm a big guy, okay? I am a big guy. I'm sorry.
Let me see some of these comments, man.
I'm also out of shape right now, but as you can see, I'm eating healthy. I had 2 bananas. Now I'm fucking with these almonds, so. All right. M. Bartek. So check it out.
Right, I'm reading through these comments now.
So right after those ones that I just posted with my name, it's in yellow.
Mm-hmm.
The questions start right there.
Nagasawa.
Keep going down.
Oh, that's Rob Ward. Wait, keep going down. Oh, can you guys talk about Vision Zero, Arilla Lawrence, and Robert Heitman? That is a very important question. I think Vision Zero is super controversial. I don't think it does nearly enough. I mean, this is something I'm not going to touch on for very long because it's something that's a perpetual frustration to me. And with the lack of connection between urban planners, the people at the Department of Transportation, and what's actually happening on the street, all Vision Zero does is limit the amount of street space for everybody. Instead of from the speed limit being 35 to 25, which is what was implemented for Vision Zero, the way they accomplish that is by funneling traffic into smaller spaces, and it creates more congestion. In general, all of what's happened with the DOT and creating bike lanes, protected bike lanes, pedestrian plazas, and all that is make it more technical to ride safely in the city. If you go 5 miles an hour and just toot around using bike infrastructure, it'll work. But what happens is an increased level of hostility from drivers, because if you're not riding in the bike lane, which is often the safest place to ride, they're not happy with you there. And you have to watch your back more, and you have to worry about traffic is just more aggressive. I mean, now that there's e-hails, you know, everyone's double parked everywhere. And so like imagine you have 4 lanes of traffic on an avenue.
E-hails.
Uber, Lyft,
I love
Via,
that. I've never
whatever.
heard that before. Sorry.
Oh, really? Imagine you have 4 lanes of traffic on an avenue. Things were flowing fine. Maybe traffic is going fast. The thing is, if you get hit by a car going less than 25 miles an hour, you have a much greater chance of living. If you're hit by a car going faster than 25 miles an hour, you're probably going to die. That's why they've implemented this, which is an understandable thing. But meanwhile, pedestrian deaths are still in the hundreds every year, and this is the most dangerous year for cycling ever in New York. We're at 29 fucking deaths. 29 cyclist deaths. Anyway, it's dangerous. Since I've been riding in New York, it's just gotten harder and harder and harder every year. I'll come around a corner like how I normally would, and then there's like a cement pylon in the middle of the street that I have to avoid so I don't fucking OTB and go under a bus. You know, it's like, it's insane. I mean, I ride pretty aggressively. I ride fast, but I don't get in people's way for the most part. I am in my own zone, in my own space, but I can't ride safely in the bike infrastructure. Every time I try, I'm like, okay, let me give this a shot. Something cuts me off. Something's blocking my way. And what happens is if you're in a bike lane and something is in the way, like here's this Hotline mug, for example. I'm coming down the fucking bike lane. Oh, here's this Hotline mug in the way. Okay, I have to jump out of this bike lane into moving traffic, really fast moving traffic, and there's no safe way.
And isn't expecting you because they think you should be in the bike lane.
It's a big problem. And the city, I think the biggest, I mean, just to touch on, I mean, this person mentioned Arilla and Robin. I mean, I've ridden through those intersections literally hundreds of thousands of times, both of them, 23rd and 6th and Rodney and Broadway. I mean, it's just bad. I mean, I know for a fact that where Robin died is an incredibly dangerous intersection now because I see cars run the light from 22nd to 23rd all the time, and they're just gunning to get off that light at 23rd. And it's just bad news. And there would be more space in the street if this infrastructure wasn't there, and the drivers would be less aggressive. But the bottom line is that the city has to prosecute people who kill cyclists. It's the only way to legally murder someone here. If you want to kill somebody, run them over with a car. You're not going to get arrested. Not a single person who has killed somebody in a vehicle this year has been prosecuted. Why? I'll leave it at that. I could go on about that kind of shit forever, but I don't need to. Wow, I got 1 subscriber to my YouTube.
To make it clear.
That's sick.
To make it clear, just...
Sorry.
Your take, are you for or against bike lanes?
I am against bike lanes.
So that's for
the record.
Person who just wrote in there about bike lanes. We're not complaining about having them. We actually don't. We both agree that they're not safe. I
like the original bike lanes. The perfect bike lane is simply a painted buffer on the street next to parked cars. Okay, cars should stay next to the sidewalk, and a bike lane is painted next to those cars, so you actually ride on the outside edge of that bike lane on the line, so you have a door zone. I mean, I don't even know how many times I've been doored. It sucks. It really sucks. And I've gotten really lucky of not getting really injured. I mean, I've broken ribs, gotten in horrible fights with people. I mean, it's just not a good situation.
I got a nice car.
Anyway, painted bike lanes are great. Bike lanes and infrastructure are good to begin with. Protected bike lanes are not. It's a false sense of security.
So, all right, moving on.
Do you want to pick the questions? Or?
Yeah, I'm going down. So, Claudio's asking, we got a member in the live chat, everybody.
Whoa, members.
What's up?
Man, you get
Samuli,
like shown in green and everything.
Thank you for joining my channel. I do appreciate that. It just gave me a notification you're in green. So everyone,
hey Samuli,
a thank you to you for joining the family. Appreciate you.
So what's this question? Come on.
Sorry, I had to do that.
I know, you got to plug. It's like, I think I just found out about this. You can become a member of Terry's channel.
It's new. It's
members
new
only. It's like Patreon for YouTube influencers. So you can support Terry for like $2 a month. I don't know.
You can
moving
buy
on.
me a beer or something, but not in January. So this question's for Cooper. What are you...
Oh, the question's for me.
Yeah.
Really?
What are your expectations for Monster Truck 2020?
That's a good question. So I race Monster Truck pretty much every year. I have gotten more second places at Monster Truck than I care to remember. I've been cheated out of winning multiple times. I've only won it once. That was a beautiful experience. No, I'm good, thanks. Expectations for 2020. I mean, you know, the thing with what I always tell people about alley cats, Monster Track is no exception, except there's just more filler and more people. There's still only a certain amount of top contenders for this race. People don't understand that. It's like, yeah, 250 people, like there's hundreds of people starting. How many of those people really get the second manifest? You know, it's like trimming off the fat. Like, it's great people come and race, but like, you show up and you know there's like a handful of 20 to 30 real top contenders to that race, which is big because a lot of alley cats only have like 15, 20 people that show up on a good day. Alley cats are like rolling the dice. It's not up to you. All you can do is go and ride your ride. You can do your race. Now, I talk about this sometimes for riding a track bike and like relative level of safety. I have a certain equation that I ride with at all times, and I really don't like to push past that boundary of my inherent level of risk, right? But my like neutral risk and like no risk could be someone else's like certain death, which is what a lot of people don't understand. It just comes from doing it a lot. But with alley cat racing, there's so many factors that come into the race. All you can really do is ride how you're used to riding. You push that envelope and take a little bit more risk, but really it just comes down to what's going to happen. How do the cards play out? How lucky were you today? Luck is a huge aspect of alley cat racing, but there's something to be said about consistency too, because there's a certain level of skill that is like a baseline that needs to be there to be able to race a brakeless track bike through the street. Add fucking wet ground and it's exponentially harder and more dangerous. I hate racing in the rain. You cannot control your bike. If something really happens to where you need to fucking stop, you're hitting whatever you're gonna hit. It sucks. And it's really, really stressful to race like that. And I have multiple times. And I don't like to ride behind people because I don't know what their decisions are. So I'll like burn myself out and ride off the front to control the pace of whatever that lead group might be, or I lone wolf it and ride by myself. This year I do have a little bit of a plan. It's just kind of what's fallen into place the last 2 years too, and that's ride with my mate from London, Matt.
Matt Watson, everybody. Rukla 63.
Yeah.
I know you were in here earlier. If you're still here, what's up?
Yeah, Matt's the man. Really humble, incredibly talented on the bike. We've just happened to ride with each other the last couple years by chance. I'm happy to let him follow me. He rides exceptionally well. He's a safe rider. He doesn't take extra risks. Just like me, we have a lot of similar values for our own inherent level of risk, which I like. But really what it boils down to for an alley cat is that it's not up to you. All you can do is ride your best, stay alive, and, you know, finish. Just finish the race. So many alley cats I've finished, or it's about just keeping persistence through the race, keeping in a certain level, keep a certain fire under your ass throughout the race, but you don't have to worry about what else is going on. If you make 3 mistakes, someone else is bound to make 3 mistakes. You don't know until it's over. You just keep pushing through till the end, and when you finish, you see what happens. Mm-hmm. That's how I race alley cats personally, but it's different for everybody. And you know, then when it really boils down to it, like on that last manifest, I mean, I so vividly remember losing to Safa when he won because I just ran out of gas. Yep. It was literally my fucking commute home. Under Broadway, under the elevated train from Williamsburg to fucking Bushwick. Yeah. It's like this big. It's tiny after riding like 30-something miles all the way uptown, back downtown multiple times. And then it's the finish on my fucking commute home. And he just rode away from me because I didn't have the legs. And he won. And I got second. Again. But, you know, that's racing. But really, there's so much more to my life and riding than there is to alley cats. But Monster Track is one of those things that's like, it's still hard to win. Because people are hungry. Yep. Am I that hungry anymore? Do I have anything to prove? No.
You got one.
I have a lot more years left to ride. And there's a lot more places I'd like to ride in the world. And not necessarily on a track bike.
You got a W. You also have a couple podiums. And you pulled, you know, the first time I participated in filming Monster Track. I filmed you pull in like, I don't know, 10 people to the first the first 3/4 of the first manifest, like.
Yeah, you know what's
So-
I forget about this every year, but like it's funny because I have like a fucking freight train of people behind me that always try to follow me and where I'm going because I know the city pretty well. Man, I've led multiple full manifests to multiple races, like coming in first to get the next manifest multiple times, and it's just something happens to be throughout the race. I don't know, but that's Alley Cat racing. It's cool because it's always gonna be a different challenge because it's the city. The city is always changing, and actually this year is gonna be probably harder than ever because there are so many changes to the city within the last year.
Mm-hmm.
Cross streets now have protected bike lanes, which render them basically useless.
Yeah, they're smaller.
It just gets more dangerous, which is bad. I really don't want to race if it's wet again. Please have a dry monster track. Me and all the competitors have talked about this multiple times because you can really ride your bike if it's dry, man. You can really push those boundaries.
Yeah.
And have control. That's what it comes down to. Moving on.
Andrew wants to know what you ate during the Silk Road race.
Oh, man.
Can you say almond butter? This guy had a photo of his bike and he had 2 huge tubs of almond butter, and I was thinking to myself, and I have no experience and I'm in no position to talk shit about what to bring and what not to bring, even on bike packing, but he was doing an ultra endurance, and I thought to myself, almond butter, not a good choice. I was like, that's got to be heavy.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
you mean,
what did you eat?
Weight-wise, or like what?
No,
what's
no.
wrong with
What did
almond?
I don't
What's wrong
I don't
with
know.
almond
It
butter?
just looked because I was looking at other people's bike setups and I saw yours and I was like, almond butter.
Well,
on
there's
the-
something
on
to
the
be said
fork?
about my bike setup. There's a reason I didn't put up my my bike check with all my gear because I brought way too much stuff.
What did you eat though? What did you eat? I don't
well,
want
I
to
ate-
answer his question.
To
before.
answer the question, I ate mostly buckwheat. So buckwheat was available to buy in the small villages or towns that you'd pass through every few days. So I had oats with condensed milk. And I'd usually put some almond butter in there. Just you want to make things more calorically dense for fuel.
Of course.
It really isn't about like eating to like enjoy. It's like eating is like a arduous task of like, oh, I have to feed myself.
Yeah.
It's really like man versus nature type shit. And I, being a city person, I'd like to think I was prepared for it, and it took over months of my life in preparation for this thing. But man, there's no way you can really prepare for those things except for doing them. And the general rule of thumb is like pack the least amount that you can, bring only what you need, and then cut it in half.
Fuck.
It's really challenging, and it's like a new frontier of learning for me. And did I necessarily enjoy it? No. That shit was brutal. It looks beautiful. It was incredible. It's like I've never had this like pull and tensegrity of like being pulled in so many directions at once of like, this is incredible. This is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I can't feel my extremities. I have a raging headache. I'm dizzy from altitude. Like everything at once. It was so intense. Also fear. I was so scared. When I ended up, being by myself really in the middle of nowhere, it's just like, wow.
Am I gonna make it?
Anyway, eating was very challenging. I did end up bringing too much food, and too much everything. But the bottom line is you just end up suffering through that shit. There's no way that like Jacob, who won, was not like really suffering with his lightweight setup. But Lael Wilcox, I had the pleasure of being able to speak with her multiple times, and she's so fucking cool. And such an inspiration and just so bright. And it's really about, so much of cycling is mental, and it was just such a brilliant example of how, getting over your own mind is so much of the game, and like being able to push through on the mental front. So that was cool to see. She said she didn't suffer at all, but I don't believe it.
She's like an anomaly.
Yeah.
So I've heard.
It's true.
Yeah, so almond butter, maybe one
Oats and buckwheat.
maybe one less
Almond
tin
butter.
of almond butter next year.
Yeah, I actually gave one of them to the other guy I was riding with
There you go. See,
when he ditched me.
there you go. August wants to know how to start working Bike Messenger.
Oh, it's a great question.
Do you have advice for beginners?
You don't. Save yourself the time. No. It's tough. It really depends on where you are in the world. Do we know where August is from?
We don't know where August is.
Because you don't want to work for an app company. It's not a messenger job. Generally speaking, messenger work, it is a messenger job. Don't get me wrong. But like in general, app companies have like ruined messenger work in a way. It's created a lot of accessibility, but it kind of undermines the function of messenger work in like the traditional sense of being able to, and like the freedom of it and why it makes it so enjoyable. So my advice would be, don't work for the Uber Eats, Deliveroo, whatever. There's like 1,000,001 of those apps that are all stolen from TCB's idea. Yeah. But basically work a company that isn't food, and work for a company that has a dispatcher. Have a good work for any company that has a dispatcher and lets you pick up multiple jobs at a time. And that traditional workflow is such a cool experience. Even to do it, 'cause you're not going to make a lot of money. That's just the bottom line. You do it because it's flexible, you have a certain amount of freedom, but it's no means to an end. I mean, there's nothing cool about being like a lifer. I'm sorry. I mean, like, you have definitely a certain level of respect. I always have had immense respect for all of the people I've been around for so many years. I mean, Ugalde was in the streets until like longer than anybody, man. Same with what's her name, Jen from Dragonfly, and Squid is still out there. I mean, all these guys who just been just out there, man. I mean, respect. But man, is it gonna, like, you know, when it's when it's like 30 and slush and snow and ice, and it's just miserable, man. It's not really worth it. It's a cool experience, but you know, do it for the experience, not for the money. You know, you have to really love it and want and crave that experience. I think it's great for anybody to do, but don't rely on it, because it kind of makes you hate what you love. If you love riding your bike, you know, messenger work will be great until it's not really, and then you move on.
True. Oh, we got a special appearance.
Hey.
We got a special appearance here.
What up?
What's up?
How you doing?
Welcome to the live stream. Want to say hi to everybody? There's 129 people. Come say hi. Come in here.
Where is it?
Introduce yourself. Just right here. Talk to the mic. There's the camera. Just say what's up.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Najee. Good to see you.
All right, cool. What up? Sorry about the
Jason's minion.
Quick interruption and introduction. I always thought being a messenger would be, I would think it was cool because the access to buildings, and I think you you show that in your photography, and I feel like when I was looking into doing it, this was back in San Francisco, I actually applied to a messenger place and they did not accept me. And then I was like, oh, whatever. And then I just moved on. I didn't need a job anyways, but
no, the accessibility is crazy. I mean, it's gotten a lot harder post 9/11 in New York in general, and even in the last few years, it's gotten a lot harder for accessibility. It's just not worth the risk. I mean, you get to go in like different offices, and you're in a building, and you can often like see some places. Like, you still get an immense amount of accessibility, and for me, it's really cool to know the inner workings of things, and like where things happen, what offices are where, who works for where, what type of people work where, what types of businesses are in certain neighborhoods, and that it just adds to this big puzzle of New York. So I just like to know how things work, and that's how my brain works. So messenger work is cool in that regard. Yeah, the accessibility is incredible. Just to like understand how it works, just to do it is a cool experience. But like as like a full-time job, I don't recommend it. Just one thing to be said, because I mentioned you know, respecting your elders and the old school heads. I didn't, personally speaking, like I've never really taken videos of myself and like riding videos until our one video, the Hotline video that we did. That was like my first video.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning it.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and
no one's ever filmed with me, and I was like, great. Let's go.
is because I wanted to do it justice. I wanted to do it right. And
Yeah.
for a long time, though, it's not that I didn't want to do it right. I didn't want to just take a video to do a video. Like, I didn't want to just show off. I didn't feel like it was my place to do so. I just wanted to be the best rider without any of that. And just be, like, focus on me. And focus on how I ride and what my equations are, and being so fucking dialed that I could do it in my sleep. You know what I mean? And even with throwing alley cats, I didn't throw an alley cat race. I didn't promote an alley cat race. I mean, I haven't now for a few years, but I think I waited 7 years before I did my first alley cat race. Like promoted it. Like a long time, because I didn't want to step on the old school guys' feet.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be, experienced enough to do that. I mean, I think I was a little crazy for waiting so long, even for filming now too, but it was a different time.
Yeah.
But, like, I hated watching, like, these bullshit videos of people's riding. I was just like, you guys suck. And, like, what? You get people watching you? And, like, God, I wanted to be no part of it. And that's why when you came through and filmed, we just did such a simple video, and it clicked so well, because it really just showed me as a rider, which is, spoken for itself exponentially, which is so cool and so perfect for what I wanted, and to show people, what I'm about.
I think the best thing about the Hotline with Cooper is that I talked about with him, like, hey, we should do a route, and it only needs to be this long, blah blah blah. Like, I was still developing the series at the time, but I was like, we should just loop a certain area and, like, hit it 2 or 3 times. So he had his bag on. We rode from Brooklyn, and I filmed it, and then we rode into the city. He dropped off his bag, and the Hotline, the 3-minute video came from that first clip on Broadway. Like, the very first run on Broadway was the best run. And we did it. If you watch the rough cut, we do it, and then we do.
Well, we went down Lafayette the first time
to
Park Row, and then Broadway, then up Church, and then down Broadway, up Church, down Broadway.
As soon as we hit Church,
we did 2 laps.
We did the 2 laps. That first time down Broadway was perfect. Like, it just, the way, and it wasn't necessarily because of, like, how things got sketchy and how Cooper reacted. It was like the perfect pacing of things coming onto screen, and the gaps were perfectly set up in buses, like, just the right amount of space everywhere. And that's, and then to top it off, obviously Cooper's casual riding style, how he dealt with the things moving around him. That's why I think it worked so well.
I agree. And it's really hard to touch on that. I feel like a lot of people who film, like, they try way too hard, or they're showy, and they're like, I'm getting filmed. I'm comfortable with you following me. I don't like people following me in general on the bike. But what was so cool is just being able to touch on that, like, sliver of experience of what I deal with and have dealt with hundreds of thousands of times on Broadway, of just riding and adapting to what happens. And, like, it's just, like I said, rolling the dice and seeing what happens and just rolling with it.
And another thing is, like, and it's like your riding style, and you talked about it, how you ride on the streets on a track bike. Like, you're not going to go past your threshold of, like, this is dangerous, and you can see it in the video. Like, you're riding at a comfortable speed through traffic, and we're not blasting through. Like, we could have rode way faster, but is that gonna would it have flown as good? Like, would we have flowed through traffic as well? No.
People also underestimate riding slower. Like, I don't even know how many times, like, people have blasted by me in the street, and I'm just like, oh, well, I just know that in 3 lights from now you're going to get stuck. Why are you going to fucking ride?
It's like the tortoise and the hare. And then,
it's like,
especially on a brakeless bike.
And then I, like, cruise by them, like, the same speed they passed me, and then just cut through the intersection a few different ways, and then just keep going, and they're just like, I mean, I never look back. I don't really care.
It's
really funny.
We made a comment on that kind of riding style with a video title that we made a while back called Casual Cuts, where Cooper, we intentionally rode even kind of slower, and the video's black and white, and I got some feedback from that
what's funny, though, is we didn't actually, like, show the real Casual Cut. I almost forgot about that video,
because riding so casual. Like,
we really should do another Casual Cuts video.
We were, like, we were basically making a point not to stop at a red light and not like blowing through red lights, but just like showing how you can just like make it through, even though it's not your turn and like you're crossing 34th and it's like crazy. You can just easily just navigate through.
Yep.
And it's not, you know, it can look good and you don't need to be like pushing some heavy gear and like blasting. That's a whole nother style. If you want to see that, Mario can blast second. Shout out to Mario.
Freight train.
There's a few guys, you know.
That's a different, you know, everyone has a different kind of riding
different
style, you know?
And
the
that's
riding
what these
style is a hard
hotlines
thing to
are.
describe, too. I wouldn't, like, attribute, like, yourself to, like,
Cadence,
I
yeah.
have this kind of riding style,
Yeah.
or, like, I ride like this person. It's, like, it's just an inherent thing that you feel and understand. I think something that's
my
really
biggest takeaway of all these hotline videos is, like, after, because the first, you know, one of the first ones was with you, and then as I filmed more people, it became, I mean, I already knew everyone has a different style, but like it becomes more and more apparent how people ride, and then matching that to the city they ride in is like, then you start to really see this. That's when the video turned into what it is. It's just like you see it, the different styles of riding, and then how traffic changes around you, and then you can ride Broadway, you know, like we did twice, and it's going to be a totally different scenario, even though it's the same person the same day. It's like, you know,
But it's not like a
15 minutes
crapshoot. It's the consistency aspect of it, of like
it's
being
very,
a good rider. Like you could very evidently.
We went right through it the second time. What I'm talking about is just the way that the holes in the traffic were. You know, it was a different ride, because it is a different ride.
Just to touch on riding style for a second, though, to finish my point of what I was talking about just briefly, is that you'll develop your own riding style, like, over time. Like, low rider. Does it look low in the? Oh, we can't see it yet.
Definitely low. That's okay.
Like, when I first rode with Safa in Mexico City, I was blown away. It's the first time I had met Safa.
Mm-hmm.
And it blew my mind that, like, we shared a riding style. I've never ridden with somebody who rides so similar to I do, yet we never met. We never talked about riding. We don't discuss any of that shit. We just flowed together in a specific way. Whereas, like, I've been riding with Chris, for example, for well over a decade. And he has such a brutish kind of riding style that's so different than mine, but it all kind of works out.
Yeah.
And, like, just, you know, you'll see how you vibe with riding with certain people and, like, being casual and picking up on certain cues, or you won't. It's just something that's fascinating to me that you can't necessarily describe or articulate. That, you know, it's just like this inherent thing that you develop after getting a certain level of skill or comfort on your bike. And it's cool for me to ride with other people because of that. But I ride alone like 99% of the time, even on my long rides upstate. I can't convince people to come with me because they don't want to get what do they call it?
We have a name for that, and it people avoid riding with Cooper sometimes upstate because there's a couple reasons. First one of the ones that I have a problem with is, I mean, I'm guilty of being late as well, but the rides are like, yeah, we're gonna meet at 8, and then it's like 9:30, 10, and
I don't
I'm like,
think I've
dude.
ever agreed to meet at 8.
But what that does, that compounds the next thing I'm gonna say is like, so then we start late, and then we call this getting cooped. Where you ride. The ride is supposed to be like, you know, a 60 mile or whatever, or, you know, it could be an all day bike ride, but all day turns into like, damn, I didn't bring lights and it's summertime. And you're like, why do I need lights? Because Cooper's like, oh, let's go over here. Let's go over there. Oh, now we're over here. Oh, wait, let me stop. Because he also is very intelligent. He also knows like many species of plants and flowers. So he's like, look at these, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, dude, okay, they're cool. We gotta go.
Also,
like,
because to
cooped.
get to the good stuff, you gotta go really far out of the city, and that's really where the quality riding is. But it takes all day, man.
Yeah.
If you go even if you take the train, it still takes all day. It's really hard to do like a consolidated ride. Anyway, my friends don't like to ride with me because
I like
they don't
to
like
ride
getting
with you.
cooped.
I just would want to leave earlier.
Let's do it, man.
On top of the
hey, we
coop-
still got to
the
do
coop
that.
factor.
Still got to do that up east, down west, or the other way around. The Bear
Oh, the
Mountain
loop?
Bridge. Yeah,
That's
the loop.
great.
But we got to do the loop with the Putnam County loop in it.
I cooped
Like 150
I
mile
cooped
day.
Richard. You guys know R1? Chard.
Oh, it's so much fun to fucking coop Richard.
He was like looking frail and shit. It was his fault. He ate a bunch of weird, like, you don't eat like heavy meats on a bike
Like
ride.
if
At
you're
least I don't.
bonking and like need to stop, like you don't like cram your face with food, or you're just gonna throw it all up.
Anyways, we love you, Richard. Chris Brooks. Oh
yeah,
this
let's
is a
get some more
question. This
questions.
is a question for me. So just hold up.
Yeah.
How did you get into the style of videos you make? The ones where you follow people around. Well, I guess I just touched on it.
Yeah, you did just
I
answer
have
that.
like a film background, and
Ooh, that light.
oh yeah, the light's coming in. The sun's out. I have a background in filmmaking. That's what I do for my day job, and I ride bikes. So I paired the two together, and then how those Hotline videos came about is I was looking for a way. I've been working on trying to mount a camera on a bike or person to get like a drone looking perspective. Like I had all these weird contraptions before, like right before I moved to New York, and then once I got here I was like hooking up PVC pipes to my bike frames with gimbals on them. I was hooking up like I had a backpack rig where I had like a thing coming out
Oh, I remember that
to
one.
show like the back of my head with a gimbal and like not a gimbal, trying to get something to look like a drone, like following someone through traffic. I thought that would be a really cool point of view, and I was doing it by myself, so I was trying to make this angle for myself riding. And then I realized, because it's kind of like photography, well, a lot of photographers they take self-portraits because like you're there, so you can shoot yourself. It's easy. So that's kind of what I was doing. And then I was like, oh, I should try to film someone else. Maybe I'll try someone else. And so I started putting the gimbal in different places on my body, and then it wound up on my helmet eventually, which is like, you would think, no shit, put it on your helmet. But I didn't think it's just all the combination of ideas coming together. Put a gimbal on your helmet, do this, like follow someone else, do a one shot, like it all kind of just happened naturally, and then that's where we're at now.
And the rest is history.
Does that make sense? But I was making bike videos before the Hotlines. I was doing these like 4K chasing videos where a lot of those videos are filmed on an electric skateboard, actually. Not all of them, but some of them.
Yeah, there were many iterations before you dialed in the helmet gimbal. I mean, even before talking to you about it, I remember like asking, you said drum perspective. I never realized you were trying to get a drum perspective, because that was really going to be like, it was always the question of like, okay, you see Mike and his homie in San Francisco, they're always filming from the scooter, and someone's on the back of the scooter
It's too
filming.
many people involved for
Yeah,
me.
you can't blow lights and shit on a scooter or get through. Like sometimes there's only enough space for one person to fit through a gap, not two or three in New York, and you'll just get cut off, and you need narrow handlebars. Oh yeah, just for the record, wide handlebars in New York, you can't ride. Fight me, it's like, it just doesn't work. Moving on.
I've been pinched a few times.
I mean, I've been wedged with my
old bars.
42s. I've been wedged between two cars with the 42s and had to jump over my bike and run it out. I mean, like, no shit. No, but I remember asking Lucas Brunel, like, I know, like, I think he was sponsored with DJI for a minute, and they were trying to figure out, like, follow footage with the drone, like, how can it follow you through the street, but then there's too many aerial obstructions, like, not power lines, but all of the traffic lights and stuff, and it's like, you can't follow on a scooter, you can't follow with a drone, you can't follow in a car, you have to follow with a bike, and the person on the bike has to be equally skilled as you to be able to follow, and it evolved into Terry's Hotline, and it's so cool. I'm grateful to be the first guinea pig of that.
I'll be your guinea pig. Do we have any winter riding pearls of wisdom? I would say go somewhere warm. I hate cold hands and cold feet.
Pearls of wisdom. I mean, waterproof socks. You talking gear or places?
Well, mine is just get out of. I hate riding in the cold.
Yeah, the best way to ride in the winter is to get on a plane.
I'm talking about real riding. Again, we're not. I'm not.
Oh yeah, there's riding and then there's real riding.
I'm not talking about like working on your bike, riding,
Track
or
bikes
like
in the street,
or like
long bike rides.
using it as transportation from A to B. I'm talking about like going on bike rides, riding, like just go somewhere warm.
California dreaming.
Can you give any input on knee pain from mashing a larger gear? Put on a
Ride a
smaller
low
gear.
gear, dude.
Put on a smaller gear.
You can't ride a high gear.
I ride, if it's your daily driver, I would say gear down. If it's a different bike, I would say gear down, and then you can build your way back up. It sounds
Just
like
in
you're not
general,
strong
you
enough.
don't need a high gear. You can go way faster on a low gear unless you're going faster than 30 miles an hour consistently, or going downhill really fast, or need to climb like some 15% grades regularly. Run a low gear. You'll have more control. And you won't kill your knees. Like, just learn how to spin faster. It just works better. I mean, the gear that I run is the same gear I've been running for more than a decade. And if you talk to anybody who races alley cats, they're probably running the same gear. If not, you're not competitive.
Or it's very similar.
Or the guys who run higher gears, they'll get away from you on like long straight stretches, but in something technical, you drop them like a bad habit, man. I mean, it's not a mystery. You got to run a low gear to be able to have control and be adept in a city environment. And if your knees are hurting, check your saddle height, make sure you have proper leg extension, and fucking run a lower gear, man. I mean, there's a lot of people who've had knee problems. I'm sure it's different from individual to individual, but like, make sure your bike is fit properly, and make sure you're running like, honestly, you should be running less than 80 gear inches.
Everyone who races their bike on the track is cringing right now. Let's see.
Just goes back to the adage of like, you don't need to go that fast to be fast.
That's true. I like pushing a big gear when I'm trying to vomit at like somewhere that's like more of a close, it's not a close course, but more of a close course, like doing laps at the park, like just an hour and a half on your bike. You want to vomit? Come push a bigger gear.
Yeah, Terry will run his like 49-14 with like sneakers through the city.
It feels so good.
Like no foot retention.
Oh, that just feels like ultimate freedom.
Well, no foot retention is
Stupidity.
cool. I mean, no, it's not stupidity. I mean,
I don't ride it fast. It's the same way. I just ride it real.
I mean,
chill.
I ride. Listen, if it's dry and my feet have like barely enough contact on my pedals, I don't run clipless pedals on the track bike. Only toe clips and straps. A lot of my friends think I'm crazy, but less power or whatever. But it's like my lifeline. It's like the only way you stay connected to the bike. I just ride on the tops of the pedals a lot. Like, it keeps me even riding safer if I don't have foot retention. And honestly, if you know how to ride your track bike, you can ride it with no foot retention. You just have to think. It forces you to think even farther ahead.
Yeah.
But I also see a lot of these clowns riding with no brakes and no foot retention with like platform pedals and like a high gear, and it's like, dude, you don't know what you're doing. Like, just help yourself. Stay safe.
Let me see. It's Chris Book. He wants to know, where'd it go? Oh, what do I use for audio recording when cycling? Quality's great. I use the Electrosonic lav mic and recorder. That's an easy one.
What are the questions we got up there?
Let's see.
Should I look through? Let's see. Wow, I got 2 YouTube subscribers. Very cool. Man, all I see is you trying to sell me Hotline gear when I look through these comments.
It's like automatic now. Giovanni's in here. He had to take a shit. You didn't miss much, but we're still just chopping it up.
Gio, how's that smoking less weed thing doing for you?
Hey, I haven't talked about it.
But what gear ratio do you ride?
Oh, I love this, dude. Russ is asking.
Hey, wait. Get your asses to Greece next year and let's shred.
Yeah, I'm with that.
You name drop a Novello. Oh, that's serial cyclist. I do want to go to Greece. It's a matter of time.
Louis McGee, let's hear about some fights, guys. I know you New Yorkers. Maybe because I'm a bigger person, I'm like a teddy bear, dude. I try to avoid any physical altercations. There's no reason. I feel like I'm also in my 30s, like I don't need to be fighting, especially over some bike shit. I have lost my temper a few times, which is very rare when someone has threatened my life when I'm on my bike. And it's the only times, and I immediately regretted it.
Yeah.
One time I spit. I thought I was going to spit on their car, and the window was down, and I spit right on a lady, and I felt really bad. And I apologized to her like more than once, but she like didn't see me and almost pinned me into a huge metal dumpster that was in the bike lane. So on the side of the bike lane. So she like went into the bike lane to go around cars and didn't even look, and like I lost my shit.
I think that the bottom line that a lot of people don't really realize is that in a city environment, you are going to get violated so many times a day that like you really can't lose your cool.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of times, I mean, if not thousands of times, I mean, multiple times a day, I get cut off or avoid getting hit, avoid getting doored, avoid getting something. If someone just violates you, but like you can't react to everything. It's just like a given. You're not, like, that's why I like to ride in the middle of the street. It's the safest place to be. There's the most deviations possible. I'll tell one fight story just because it's fucked up and I still can't even believe it happened. But like, I mean, I've lost my cool more than a few times, but it really takes a lot to like, I mean, you have to stay, like, keep the blinders on and really not react to when people fuck you up, because it's not always intentional. Like, sometimes it is, and that shit's fucked up, and then maybe it is worth a fight. But it was my little one story is I was riding. It was night. It was like an early. It was like it's like a winter evening. It was like sleeting, like 35 and freezing rain, really nasty. I was like 8 hours through my day, and there's like one car parked on the side of the street, only one, lights are off, white BMW Cali plates. Didn't really think much of it other than like, you know, I'm always thinking like, don't get doored. I always try to give myself a door zone, but if you don't have a door zone, you just go slower, right? And you hope for the best. I mean, I don't know how many times I've been like, you know, like hoping I don't get doored, because you just have to go through those spaces sometimes. I mean, like barely as wide as your shoulders type shit. And what do you know, this door opens, like literally my bars just got past the door, and the door opened in between my handlebars and my chest, and I just caught the door with my ribs, and I just got hinged between this door and another car that was stopped for the light, and I just got stuck immediately, just to a stop. I mean, it was so fucking painful, and I was just so livid that this just happened to me that I pushed the door back on the guy. Maybe I got his leg or his arm or something in the door, and immediately, just from like gut wrench reaction, he just came out and fucking sucker punched me in the face in the rain after he just doored me. I got doored into the ribs, and he fucking punched me in the face, and we got in this gnarly fist fight in the middle of the street in the rain at night after he doored me. I just fucking couldn't believe this shit, man. And he like he got me on the ground, and it was just dark. So my gut reaction was just to get up, and I had my U-lock, and I just fucking knocked his lights out with my lock. It's really a bad. Listen, don't hit someone with your lock. U-lock justice is not the way, but like, you know, I'll just say that guy. I mean, he just gave me a blank stare and just stopped what he was doing. I mean, I don't know what happened to him, but I bet you he's going to look before he opens his door next time. I just left the scene. I mean, you don't want to stick around when that kind of shit happens.
Yeah.
But don't do that. For every one fight I've had, there's been 1,000 situations that could have warranted it where you don't do anything. But everyone loses their temper sometimes. That hurt, though. I was fucked up for months from that.
Ralph is saying, hey, the guide to New York was very cool. Have you thought of elaborating on this talent? Actually, we have. We talked about doing it again. We have some...
I've had a lot of requests for this.
Yeah. We talked about doing maybe Garment District. I don't know. You mentioned it.
Just somewhere. We should just go more
Somewhere
areas
else.
of New York.
Yeah.
Because I can rattle it off. I mean, all that was just off the top of my head downtown.
It was totally off the top.
I was like, Terry, should I look up some info? Should I do something? And he's like, no, man, just roll with it. And it turned out great. And, you know, I look at it, or I've watched it, and I don't like the facts that I spit, and some things weren't right, but that's just the perfectionist in me. But I mean, we could do all sorts of neighborhoods. I think it's really cool. I think, of all things that people have mentioned to me, I think that's the most that people are like really hyped about is the tour of New York. I mean, even people I don't know I've met, and they're like, "Hey, you did that. You're that guy who did that tour on the bike." It's just mind blowing to me. It's pretty cool. The reach of the internet.
Internet reach is deep.
Hey, okay, here we go. Terry, this one's for you. Deja vu rehearsal. Big up from England, Cooper. How about doing a hotline filming Terry?
We can do that.
Do you know how many times, just for the record, do you know how many times I've asked Terry to do this? He doesn't want to do it. He's scared.
I have to think of the right route. Got to put a camera on you. Got to put a mic on me. I'm down to do it.
Easy, man.
We had Richard one time try to film a hotline with me, and it was all right. And then that one's called "Don't Call It a Hotline." And then we did one with I did one in St. Petersburg, Russia, which was fun because I didn't know where the hell I was going. So that was pretty entertaining. So I'm sure you guys saw those ones, the Affinity Hotline video. That's me riding. But yeah, we should do one in New York. I can just do one where it's a simple straight pass down like some avenues or something.
I think I should pick the route.
Oh, well, we'll let Cooper. Actually, no, Cooper. How many? You know how route specific Cooper is with stuff. No, it's my hotline.
You should just go anywhere you want. I'll just follow along.
We'll
Should trade bikes.
We'll do like casual cuts where we're just like riding. Like, oh yeah, now we're gonna go this way.
ASAP Brocky. I can beat you on a single speed bike, Cooper Ray.
That guy's in Scotland, I think. He's been talking it up.
Yeah. All right. I haven't heard that one before.
Yeah, ASAP Brocky, dude. Just come out to New York sometime, and I'll set up the race. I'll film it. That'll be cool. Or just come out to Monster Track.
Yeah, honestly, that's like the stomping ground, the proving ground. But you can't ride if you're on a single speed.
You got to be on a track bike without brakes.
That's the thing. You can't necessarily compare single speed and track bike. If I'm on a bike with brakes, man, I'm just blasting into shit. I mean, that's how I've gotten hurt in the past. Is like you have no risk. You can just bail out. You can go so hard into things till the last minute, and you get fucking clipped. You get hurt. I mean, I've gotten really lucky a few times. This is cool. Your videos are awesome. Great inspiration. Blah, blah, blah. Your number 22, Little Wing. Could you please speak about it? Love the look, but what about the ride? All right, look aside, whatever. That bike is purely function. It rides great. I've been in multiple accidents with it. It's all dented up. I've gotten in a head-on collision with an e-bike. I've been doored multiple times. The only reason I'm riding it because it's still alive. The other track bikes I've had, I've gotten in accidents and they get totaled. 22 still alive. So that's cool.
I like my 22. I don't ride in the streets as much as this guy. Shout out to 22. Terry, where did you get inspired to film besides Brunel's work? When did I say that? No, shout out to Lucas. He's the OG. I've seen Line of Sight. That was one of the first Brunel films that I saw that I was like, damn, these guys in New York are crazy. But I pulled my filming bike stuff from videos that, I don't know, they probably came out after Lucas Brunel's Line of Sight. Maybe before, I'm not sure. But MASH. That's where my inspiration comes from. Skate videos and the MASH video. I find a lot of inspiration from skate videos. I don't look at bike videos to get inspired to make bike videos. I don't. I see bike videos and I'm like, that was sick, or or I watched that and I watched this. But I think it's important to take inspiration from other things and apply them to something that you're into.
When Najee walked in, Masan in the house. That's not right.
What?
Dog reading through comments.
Masan's here. Masan's in the comments.
Oh, he is?
Mm-hmm.
Yo, Masan,
What's
what
up,
up?
Masan?
Yo, OG. You already know.
Speaking of OGs.
Yep. I'm trying to look at some more of these comments. When is the next Hotline with Cooper Ray? I don't know. You gotta ask Terry about that one.
Yeah, if you want to do one. I don't know. I haven't been doing hotlines, and I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe this is a confession. There might be a little bit of a wait until you see another hotline. Maybe, maybe not.
All right, here's one I want to address. Peanut Butter Jellyfish says, I hate that Cooper pretends everyone should follow the rules, ... but him. I've never said that everyone should follow the rules. Ever. When did I say that? I think that it's important for vehicles to follow traffic laws so they don't mow people or bicycles over. Bicycles kind of always have had the pass to not follow traffic laws. I think if you're blatantly in people's way and like causing, injury or death to other people, that's a problem. I think that bikes have free reign. I mean, even since the Hotline video and there was the incident with the baby stroller, I mean, I've reworked how I even get close to people anymore. I don't cut close to people. I mean, everything evolves and changes. Do I still not follow traffic laws? No, I don't. Do I say that everyone should? Also, no, I don't, especially if you're on a bike. I think you should ride to how you can stay safe for your own riding and not put other people in danger, which 99% of the time I don't. Ride through some of the projects. Interesting.
Were you around in the Boda time?
Yeah, Boda.
I was in San Francisco.
Shout out to Link and Hero. What up? Still around. Hiromi still has the Boda accounts. That was fun.
Yo, I'd love to go to South America, by the way.
Same.
Just throwing that out there.
A car is a bike. No, it's not, dude. Peanut Butter Jellyfish. I watch you ride. Your words don't match your riding. It's not true, dude. Listen, a car? What happened? There's actually statistics about this. If you hit somebody with a car, generally you kill them. If you hit somebody with a bike, you don't kill them. They get injured. There are way higher statistics of deaths by vehicle than deaths by bike. There's actually very, very few, like maybe less than 1 or 2 a year. Not even every year that someone gets killed by a bike. In cars, it's actually in the hundreds. So get your facts straight. Even if you do injure someone, which I've hit a handful of people over the years. What do you...
Sorry, go ahead. This is a serious answer here. I was just giving Sanchez a thing.
Oh.
Eating these almonds.
I've hit a handful of people. It's not what I want to do. It actually hasn't happened in like 5 years that I've hit somebody. Just because I ride slower when I'm in congested areas because I don't like getting hurt and I don't like hurting other people. Najee with the tape.
I'm just kidding.
No, it's fine. No, you're good.
Fine.
You're good. I don't need to harp on this because frankly, you're wrong. What it looks like from an outside perspective is very different than my internal equation. And it's also very different if you're following somebody who actually rides really recklessly as opposed to following someone like me or someone who's pretty experienced and not getting injured or hit. I don't like getting injured. I don't like injuring people. I don't like getting in accidents. Ooh, this is a good one. Rob Ward's question. Who is your favorite NYC messenger / rider? Anyone particularly inspire you and your riding style? Any style bike? Ooh, this is a multi-layered question. Let me think about this for a second.
D-Blocks.
No, not D-Blocks. Respect,
He's dope.
I've actually met a handful of
I
people.
love D-Blocks.
I think someone who really inspired me when I was younger was Jersey Dan. Dan Chabanoff used to race alley cats and was a very talented rider. I think he was a big inspiration to me when I was younger. Other people would be Alex Crusher.
Oh, speaking of that, Crusher just texted me.
Oh, wow, look at that. Super talented, super humble. I think humility is something that's very important. Man, who else? Favorite messenger and rider. Oh, favorite messenger though. Let's shout out to messengers. By hands down, favorite messenger, not just favorite rider. Fox. Shout out to Fox, the consummate professional. If you haven't met Fox, you should do yourself a favor and find him in the street somewhere and just have a conversation, buy him a coffee or something. Yeah, probably my favorite messenger. Him or, you know who I always just see out there and have for years is a dude named Maine. Maine's always riding a orange KHS Aero, just always out here riding. I see him all weather, all day, whether I'm in the city or not. And always just says what's up. I do the same. Just an acknowledgement to messengers, you know, if you just say what's up, it can, you know, make or break their day. You know, just that little bit of like the human aspect of it is oftentimes not available as a bike messenger. It can be very isolating. What else we got?
Yo, guys, I'm getting hungry over here. I don't want to eat all these almonds.
Oh, wait. Yo, Terry, bring your expertise to Queens. Hell yeah. No, see, that'd be sick, dude. Should do Northern or Queens Boulevard.
I already have someone.
Dude, Northern Boulevard.
I have someone for Queens.
Who, James?
Who needs to do Queens? James would be great to get on.
Who's your Queens select?
I didn't even think of James for Queens, although I don't know why I didn't. Fucking Amir, because he's my boy. Amir Tusi.
Amir should do the Whitestone tour.
Yeah, Amir's gonna
Whitestone
do
and Flushing.
the weirdest Queens one ever, because that's Amir. We're gonna give him the weird one. Everyone who knows Tusi, say what's up in the comments. Also Sanchez, you know, traffic warrior.
Got to get you on that other vehicle, Sanchez. If you know
Dude,
what I mean.
we've been trying to link up on the other vehicle.
Damn, you
slipping,
ghosting
boy.
him on that, Sanchez? Come on.
Slipping.
Fruit bootin', scootin' extraordinaire over here,
Dude,
Sanchez.
We're gonna get traffic warrior Sanchez. We're gonna do a chasing video where he's gonna be. Oh, that's his brother. Oh shit! What?
Wait, that's not Sanchez?
Tusi ain't your brother. We're gonna get him on rollerblades, skateboard, fucking scooter, bike. What else are you good at, dude? He's good at fucking everything.
Do you run clipless shoes and pedals, Cooper? Absolutely not on a track bike. I said this briefly before, but personally speaking, if I skid, I pivot the balls of my feet a little bit when I skid, when I move my hips and really move into stuff, and that will pop you out of clipless pedals. I really like to wiggle my feet around and like to have that freedom, but more so than just that, having something that's solid, I've always used double laminated, double leather straps, and they don't break. Like, for example, I've had a broken toe clip on my bike for over a year now. I just haven't replaced it, but because the straps are still good.
You know what I hate?
What?
Fucking toe clips. And
Toe
I'm not
clips.
I'm not
Yep.
a strap, like solid, like those like fixed gear strap kind of person either. But I look at a toe clip and I'm always like, the fuck is that? That thing's only there to hold the strap up. That thing's only there to hold it. Like, it's not your toe, like, it's because I have big feet. Like, I can never find the right.
Well, you need the double large ones.
Yeah, it sucks.
No, but it still puts the ball of your foot over the axle.
That's where it needs to be. But with most toe clips, in my experience, it's like my toes barely fit in there, and then
Gotta
like
get those
riding
big
it
boy
feels
toe
really
clips,
dumb.
dog. Wait, I like this. Montalban Jr. Deep in the Hood with Cooper Ray series. Is he faster than a speeding bullet? Well, not that part, but deep in the hood. More so just like, so out by where I live, near Broadway Junction, like riding down, like the wave on Saratoga or Eastern Parkway, or like Bushwick Avenue, Jamaica Avenue, or the Jackie Robinson. I think we should do a hotline where people aren't accustomed to riding. Cause
we talked about
cars
Jackie
are
Robinson.
really
You just let the
buck
cat
wild.
out of the bag with that one. We weren't supposed to talk about that.
I didn't say anything.
I heard you say it.
No.
That's a sketchy one, man. That's a sketchy one.
Yeah, I have unclipped a few times, but I feel I got much more power through the pedals and better bike fit. I mean, you get more power, but like, what's more power if you lose a foot out of your pedal and get hit by a car or crash? I mean, it's not worth it in like the long term. I remember I stopped using clipless pedals in 2008 when I was going downtown, on Park Avenue. I mean, going downhill on Park Avenue from 96th Street, where the New York Central rails come out with the Metro North. And it's just a big blind corner, and I went to skid, and I popped out, and I almost got leveled. And I never looked back.
And then I wear my Vans every day. Are you guys tired of hearing our voices?
Maybe. I do think a South America tour should definitely happen. We were talking about it. It's not going to happen this season.
Cooper's not going, but I'm still in, guys. So if you guys want to send those American Airlines tickets my way, jump on that.
I wish I could go. We will go at some point.
Yeah. It'd be cool to go. I just definitely don't want to go alone.
I told you I'd go with you.
You looked into chasing anyone in Boston? It's a nightmare. I've never been to Boston. Sounds like a nightmare this time of year, too. Don't want to go up there. It's too cold. I'm soft, man. I'm from California. Maybe in the summer, I go out there.
Were there any other good questions we missed, Terry? I wasn't looking at them until a little while ago.
Yeah, I skipped over some that have been asked in the past, and I've told people that if they ask those kinds of questions that I'm probably going to start skipping over them.
Yeah, mine cuts off at 1 o'clock. Is there any off the bat?
Question for Terry, Low Pro 2020? Huh? What do you mean? What do you mean by that, Rob?
Over 20 people got ran over in New York City this year. How many there were on fixed gear? Actually, very few of them. If any, actually. I guess Arilla. I think Robin was on a single speed.
Can you talk about the Silk Road race and saving for another time? What? Or, oh, yeah. There's a, we dropped a link to Cooper's website earlier in the comments of the live stream, and if you go to that website, there's a blog post. He blogged while he was out there, so check those out.
Why don't you just put the URL there now? It's just
Again?
I can type it for you if you want.
It's
blog.cooperray.nyc. And the first post there is some very in-depth writing about my experience. It's over multiple blog posts about my experience with the Silk Road mountain race in Kyrgyzstan and Central Asia in the Tian Shan.
Oh, shit. Yeah, so I just dropped the Cooper's blog link in the comments. So if you want to know more about the Silk Road and his experience, he goes into depth. And there's photos, and it's some
But if you have a
stuff
specific question about it, I'm happy to ask it right now.
Also, I just want to point your attention to the comments here. Do you see Samuli's name is in green? Isn't that sick? This new join, like the membership thing,
it's like brand new.
It's wiling out. It's like if you're a part of the family or
the Barentsen
friends,
family,
yeah,
TB fam.
You get your
Hashtag
name,
TB
your
fam.
name in the comments is in another color. It's kind of wild.
Also, do you guys have any good? Does anybody have any good names for Terry's show? It's just TBShow.
It's
right
Terry
now.
Barentsen show. TB
Tuberculosis show.
Taco Bell. It could be anything.
Taco Bell show.
Rob is saying, are you gonna film on the Low Pro mostly? I've filmed all of the Russia stuff on the Low Pro, and it was fine. It looks. Samuli, I'm sorry, you joined the party. It's green now. It looks like later. I think as you become part of the family, I think every week the color changes. I think, or every month. I don't know. I appreciate it. The Low Pro. Oh, I can't see it. It's over there.
Yeah, I'll go grab it.
Basically, the saddle height to bar height on the Low Pro looks mad. It looks mad aggressive, especially because of the angles of the frame. but my old bike, the Cutter, the saddle and the bar, the difference between them was actually a little more drop because that bike, the Cutter, was a little too big for me or too small for me. But it's like right here, yeah. And I just put a 130 on there, so. Anyways, probably be filming on that.
Infinity and Jason.
Thanks to Jason and Infinity and Blue Love for building it up, and Thompson for the new components, all that jazz. If you guys don't know who Rob Ward is, he films, or used to film, or still films. He films a lot of bike stuff.
Who is Rob Ward?
With the GoPro helmet kind of cam situation. He's done a lot of videos for MASH in the past. So you guys should check him out in the comments. Say what's up. Let me see.
Oh, I just want to plug one more thing. If anybody, I haven't done this in a while, but on the website that was linked before, I used to do a jazz radio show, and all of the programs are linked and archived on that site. It's t42jazz.com if you want to just go to it. t42jazz.com. If you want to get into jazz, there's days and days worth of jazz listening on there. It's all from my record collection. I hope to pick that up at some point again too. There's a lot of work to program.
Imran's asking about the tie bars and seat post, if it feels like any noticeable difference. I had a tie stem and bar before that. So the only difference I actually feel is the front end's actually a little stiffer now, and that's not like a good or bad quality difference between I think the difference is that my deluxe bars were a little more narrow, and it was 100% tie. The stem was tie too. So I think that one just had a little more flex, which I actually liked. But now that the front end's a little stiffer, and the bars are a little shorter, it feels stiffer in my hands, and that feels good too. So I don't really know. I don't think it has much of a difference from my old setup. And the seat post, I don't have a good opinion on it yet, because I actually think my saddle is a tad bit too high right now. So I'll get back to you on once I get it dialed in. Oh, Rob, you're out of the game. Come on, man.
Out of the filming game?
Rob said he's not filming, yeah. All right, so Ben wants to know, Cooper, does your hair have any relation to skill or speed?
Yeah, man, you can't cut the hair off. It's like my powers. Can't cut it. You get with the longer the flow, the faster you go.
Oh, wow.
Whoa. Wow. I've just always had long hair. I love it. I do like feeling the hair flow also. I know some other friends of mine who have long hair who like to braid their hair so it doesn't kind of get everywhere, but I kind of love it. So yeah, who's the Greek god who he cut his hair and doesn't have his powers anymore? You know what I'm talking about? Forget his name. Google could help with that. Do we want to talk about anything else? Maybe that kind of
I'm getting hungry. Yeah, I just want to go get some food. Yo, did you guys order a pizza over my way? What's up? I'm trying to eat.
That's what that Patreon is for. I mean, that YouTube members only is for. Is you can get pizza for Terry right to his office. No, but let's be real. We're coming to the end of the decade, man. It's the last day of the decade. We're going into the 20s. That's a pretty big deal.
It is.
I think it's a pretty wild time in the world right now, if you think about it. I'm excited. For me personally, it's a lot of new things to look forward to for next year, and how to change and evolve and meet more people, and yeah.
Yo, one more question that I just read that I need to ask. Ben He wants to know the beads, man. What's up with all the fucking beads?
Is that what it says? What's up with all the fucking beads?
It doesn't say fucking beads.
Oh.
I added the
What's
fucking
up with
part.
all the beads? Well, it depends. You know, like a bracelet or a necklace for me is something that holds energy. I'm kind of a spiritual guy. I like to get in the ebbs and flows of things. I pick up on energy, like in the street. You know, they mean different things. Like this red one, this is the oldest one I have on. It hasn't broken off yet. I wear them until they break off of my body. You know, and it's a release of this energy. But it's like protection. Like these I got when I was in South America, in Ecuador. You know, this is volcanic stone from a big volcano I was near. You know, this is the most recent edition. My mom just got me this bracelet over the holidays. A lot of these are made from seeds from the woman I mentor with at the Botanical Garden here in Brooklyn. I mean, they all either remind me of specific places, things, or people, and you know, it's energy. It's energetic.
That was SK that asked that, by the way.
Oh, it's SK. Oh, Ben Davies. Yo, what's up with the beads, man? Yo, shout out to SK. I miss you.
The reason why I like to ask that, because one time we were filming a video and I was like, Cooper, I'm putting a mic on you. You got to take those fucking beads off. They're going to be rattling in the video. And he's like, I don't take these off. And I was like, fine, fuck it. Like, he's not going to take them off. And guess what? The video, you can just hear it. It's Hotline Rupert
sound?
K. It's just like
Rupert
the
K.
fucking beads are rattling the whole time. And I was like listening to it when I was editing. I was like, fucking beads, man.
Well, it's funny. Like this has been like I have a little brother, a little half brother in California, and he's turning 7 in April. And this has been around my neck since before he was born. So, you know. What else does somebody say?
Spencer wants to know, how do you get out of the saddle and sprint on the tops? Ride your bike, dude. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
It has to do with how I hold the drop bars.
Yeah.
You know, I told this to a friend recently because he told me, he's like, man, I'm going to this doctor. I have this like bone spur in my elbow. I'm like, how do you hold the bars, man? He's like this. I'm like, no, you gotta I hold the bars kind of out. I have like my elbows out, and my wrists, you know, instead of like a bar's sweep will have like, you know, kind of put your, like a flat bar will put you back this way to like ease your wrists a little bit. I actually rotate my hands inward and it forces my elbows outward. And I kind of hook my pinky around the edge of the drop. And it allows my hands to rest on the part of the drop that comes down. So it's like on the tops and the drops. And what that does is actually like work like suspension. If I'm about to hit a hole and need to get over something, I can move like really far to avoid like having that jab into me. And it's just how I've developed how I ride over time, and it works. But yeah, you can sprint on the tops, man. It's funny, I got on the drops for the first time the other day in a while. I was like, whoa, I haven't been down here in a while.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for ringing in the new year, kind of. With
Yeah,
us.
man. 2020. Hey, do we have any like?
We're wrapping up 2019.
Yeah, it's New Year's Eve.
Tonight we're ringing it in. What are
in.
you guys doing for New Year's Eve?
Does anyone have any like 2020 intentions they want to share in the comments? I mean, what are people's what are you trying to do for 2020? What are you trying to change in yourself? How are you trying to evolve and be a better human? Or
I waited all the way until this point in time to make the change in my life. You know?
Till right now.
I have to wait till tomorrow. Sorry. I'm not one. I like the idea of people doing those, what are they called? Resolutions. But it's like, yo, you should have made that resolution like when you realized there was an issue.
Yeah, that's true.
I like it though. So what are you guys trying to resolve? What's the resolution? New Year's resolution? Anything? Ride more.
I can share one.
I like
of mine.
that. Enjoy life. Those are great.
Enjoy life.
Skate more.
Yeah.
That's great.
Skate more.
Sanchez wants to be my pa.
Oh.
Ooh, waking up at 4:30 a.m. to ride to work. Well, how about for New Year's?
Nice.
For the last day of 2019, get some rest tonight, man, so you can wake up and do that. get your money on.
Or you
for
just
2020.
ride straight to work.
Oh, from
Yeah,
ringing
straight
in
from
the new
ringing
year.
in the new year. Then
That's a good
then you
one.
know you'd be awake.
I guess we can talk about that. Last year, we had a pretty mellow, like, get together. A few of us. I was with Richard and Eric, Otto, and Brian, all people who I filmed in the past, and a few other people. And we just had some champagne up at their house, and then downstairs was a bar, Goldie's in Greenpoint. We had a drink, and then we went to some dance club thing, and then we went home, and then
What do you?
we went on a bike ride for New Year's Day, and we went to Prospect Park, and I'm planning on doing this tomorrow. I forgot to tell you about it.
Yeah, you gonna do a New Year's Day bike
New Year's
ride?
Day mellow ass ride, no matter how hard.
Dirt?
Yeah, no matter how hard or how
What time?
soft you went, we're gonna go and do a New Year's ride at Prospect Park tomorrow. So tomorrow
Soft times.
at 12:15 p.m. at the top of the park, we're riding dirt. So if anyone is listening and who's in New York
Sketchy
and wants to
Prospect
just
trails.
join in, we're gonna
They're
be
pretty
taking
fun.
it chill.
It's
There's
fun with a squad.
there used to be jumps and stuff there, some huckers, but they're all destroyed now. But there's still a couple fun little things to do, and we would like to see you guys there,
Why don't we go hit 9W trails instead?
because I already have people coming. We're doing a chill ride for the new year.
It's gonna be a very safe ride, also. If
Very
you know what I
safe.
mean.
And-
We like to stay safe on our bike rides.
And last year
Full disclosure.
we rode for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then we just went to a bar and grabbed some food and drinks, and then we were like, Happy New Year. New Year's a good way to do it. I'm not gonna have drinks this year though. No dry January. Dry January. Live life in the moment. Yeah, you don't forget to do that.
Oh, huge New
Sometimes-
Year's Day ride on Mount Tam. I wish.
Oh,
You guys got it so good in the bay.
yeah, Mount
Fuck.
Tam would be a good. I've also New Year's Day rides are great to do in the Bay Area. Mount Tam's the perfect way to ring in the new year. Love it.
Just like a quick PSA, tell everybody, just wear your helmet. It's a good thing to do. All you guys who think you're really cool riding with your fitteds or your snapbacks or whatever they are, 5 panels, whatever the kids wear these days, wear the hard hat. Wear your fucking helmet. I've been in enough accidents to know I should. I don't need to preach to my friends that you should wear your helmets, but, friendly reminder, PSA, going into the new decade.
Be
Definitely
safe.
lost some friends to head injuries.
Be safe out there. All right, everybody. We appreciate you guys coming in. We hope you have a good new year. Be safe. Ride safe. We'll see you next year. Thank you, Cooper, for coming in on the show. We've dropped all of your social media and affiliation, everything links in the description of the video. So hopefully,
You should link the Instagram in there just in case.
I did. You want me to do it again?
Yeah, do it again. Drop that
Okay,
shit.
let's drop it one more time. for
Drop in the
Cooper.
Instagram.
Cooper Coffee and Bikes. Here we go.
If
We're
you
gonna
ever have
drop
any questions for me or
Cooper
want
in
to
here one
chat,
more time.
I try to respond to most of those. I know I'm always very humbled when people message me, and I try to respond.
We hope you guys all, if you are able to get out of the house or out of work today and just go pedal around, be safe. And if not, maybe we'll see you tomorrow, or you can get on your bike tomorrow. If you can't do that, get your money, take care of who you got to take care of, and do it the next day. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next year. Cooper, anything to end with?
Wow, to end the year, to end the decade. Man, life's too short not to enjoy it. If you've been putting something off and, why wait? Really take advantage of your life and being able-bodied, and don't take anything for granted. I think one of the biggest takeaways from this year for me was, just never taking my simple life here for granted. And really, my trip this summer to Central Asia really opened my eyes to how a lot of people live in the world, and I think we're very fortunate to live the lives that we do here in New York. And anywhere you might be listening, if you have a roof over your head and you have food and loved ones and all that nice stuff, you know, I can't help but think about people who don't have it as well off. So, yeah. Live life, appreciate life, and be you, you know, be authentic. There's no sense in trying to be someone you're not. Yeah. Silence.
I was letting you get it all out.
I think that's it.
I was letting you get it out. Happy New Year, everybody. We love you. Stay safe out there.
Happy New Year.
We will see you next year, hopefully at Prospect Park at 12.